I don't know why I'm talking like this.
None of us do.
I said me. I said I don't know why I'm talking like this.
Yeah, we don't either.
Yeah, I'm just confusing you, keeping you on your toes. That's what
I am on my toes.
Literally,
that's right, because you're standing. Yeah,
I'm
standing.
Well, see, he's standing on his tippy toes because his desk is too tall.
It's standing room only at the Zeeverfett residence.
The Zeeverfett residence.
That's what we call it.
That's how they prefer it.
The Zeeverfett abode.
The abode.
Chateau Le Zeeverfett.
Chateau Le Zeeverfett. Oh my gosh. Okay.
We have some interesting topics to talk about today. I'll tell you that.
We do. We have a good amount too.
Yeah.
We need to cram them in.
Yeah.
And just like Phil said, let's go.
Yo.
Hi.
Yo.
Pow! That's what I was waiting for.
What are you saying? Pow! How's it going, everybody? Got another episode of 4Nerds. This is episode, why does it say 13? That is not true.
It's episode 13. Hey, welcome.
Hey!
Yeah, 183.
We're starting over again.
Yeah, it's a reboot. It's a reboot.
Got to edit it. It's all right.
It's a reboot.
No, episode 183. I realized that.
We're going to retcon the past. And,
the past didn't happen.
Yeah, we're going to change things up.
Maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I must have said the wrong title, and Phil corrected it last week where he put it at 182 instead of 181. I looked at it, I was like, oh, that's not correct. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, I skipped one. All right, well, that's fun.
I missed one.
Yes.
I have missed one.
Yeah, episode 183 of the 4Nerds. And like Andre said, we have a lot to talk about. But first off, how's everybody's week? I know, Andre, you're stuck in space right now, apparently.
I'm still traveling home. No, I had a great weekend. I went and stayed at the coast with some family and, got to watch Giants game last night on TV, obviously. But just spending time on the beach and, just being out there by the coast, it's really nice. And it's just nice to get away. So,
and not that I care at all, but how are the Giants doing this year?
I don't know, not that great. But they're still in. They're only like 3 games out of the 3rd wild card spot. So they still have a shot. So, but I'm a lifelong Giants fan, so I'll support them regardless.
Yeah, Andre's of the mentality where even if your team sucks, you're like, they're the best team ever.
Yeah, you just gotta go with it.
Exactly.
Same with being a Cowboys fan. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but that's the same mentality.
Yeah,
let's say
a lot of Cowboys fans are
Andre
like, "Oh, we suck. I don't care."
He only walks around the house, so it's like, "Yo, let's go."
Oh man, it's funny because I'm not a baseball fan, so no sports are really going on right now that I really care about, except for NBA Summer League. But that's not really anything worth watching, in my opinion.
Whoa, hey, hold on, Daryl Taylor coming in hot right off the bat. Hey, Phil, what did you think of episode 7 of the Acolyte? Hey, hold on. We're going to get to that.
That's going to be the finale of today.
That's going to be the finale.
I'm still writing my review, Daryl, but it'll be up later on today. But we will talk about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, guys, be sure to go check out all of Phil's articles on Multiverse of Color. Got a lot of great reviews on there, as well as I think you covered some interviews with the showrunners of House of the Dragon, right? No, was that someone else? Or?
No, that was not me. I linked an article with
you
I was going to say,
holy
holy shit!
No, he didn't put up the interview.
I linked an article with Ewan Mitchell talking to Hollywood Reporter.
What's up?
Yeah,
gotcha. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say you talked to the showrunners. Jesus,
I didn't imply.
I mean, if I could talk to Ryan Condal, that'd be pretty cool. Not gonna lie, I think he's doing a really great job with that show as it is anyway. Like that show's just pretty phenomenal. And
I still have to watch the newest episode because I was away.
Oh, it's a doozy. Oh, it's an absolute fucking doozy.
When this is over, that's what I'm gonna watch.
Yeah. You were in for a show, my friend.
It show's so good.
It was a good episode.
Thoroughly enjoying season 2 as much as I enjoyed season 1. So yeah, I mean, it's just really, really good shit.
You haven't been spoiled by anything, have you?
No, I've actually found a way to avoid all that. So
good.
So when this is over, that's what I'm gonna go do is watch House of the Dragon. I watched The Boys already because we had internet up there, but it was really bad. And I tried to watch House of the Dragon when I was up there, and it was like it kept pausing, I was like, okay, forget it. I'm done. And that was just during the intro where it's like previously on, So I was like, oh man.
Meanwhile, back in the Hall of Justice.
I know.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Nice. Yeah, no, as far as my week goes, I actually today just finished page 5 of a new book that I'm working on. I'm doing the pencils, inks, and colors for it. So I'm 5 pages in. I've actually redesigned the logo for the character, which was actually really fun because I had some really cool ideas after I actually drew the pages. So that's fun. Doing a lot of stuff with the house before we move, which is a blast. So much fun. Yay.
That move is coming up pretty soon too, right?
Yeah, in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Yeah. So I got a convention this next weekend. Then when I get back, we have about 2 weeks before another convention. Then we move right after that.
Okay.
So
Well, good.
Gnarly.
fun
Gnarly.
stuff.
Yep.
How about you, either Phil or Ryan? How's your guys' week been?
I'm not moving.
Well, I'm aware of that.
You can't move. It's too hot.
It's too hot. Yeah. After the hurricane, though, I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah,
Hurricane, what
'cause-
was that about?
So, just lost power for 6 hours.
Yeah, because you guys weren't directly like in that.
We
path.
got the dirty side of it.
Okay.
That was about it. Just a lot of rain. But,
Yeah.
that was my week.
Just dealing with power outages.
Mm-hmm.
Fun.
Yeah, dealing with that, and there's still a lot of places that kind of like restaurants and things like that, or fast food or whatever, that they're not letting people in because they're short staffed and all that. So there's like long lines for gas, for food, for everything. It's like,
Mm.
do I really XYZ?
You're saying Whataburger has huge lines?
Yes, I was actually in one today.
That's terrible. That's absolutely
Yeah,
terrible.
but I had to eat the Whataburger, so I was like,
Dude, it's
I'm
hot
gonna do
right
it.
now, dude. It's hot. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I know where I'm at in California, it's 105. I'm sure it's like 108 or 110 where Phil's at.
Dude, we were pressure washing the house
103.
today, and it was
103?
super sunny, then just downpour for like 10 minutes, and then super sunny again. It was ridiculous. But yeah, to all those who are affected by the hurricane out there in Texas and also in Central and South America, again, prayers out for you guys. Hopefully things are looking up. Hopefully people to get good enough shelter and people able to recover things. And hurricanes are scary. They're terrifying. So yeah, that's crazy stuff. How about you, Phil? How was your week?
Let's see. From the last episode to this episode, it's been quite the doozy. Like Andre, I caught up on The Boys, got caught up on, well, not like Andre, I got caught up on House of the Dragon. Been writing reviews left and right for Multiverse of Color, trying to get my Comic-Con stuff squared away because I will not be here 2 Wednesdays from now. I will be on a plane going to Comic-Con.
Woo!
Nice.
Yeah. Other
That's
than
San
that-
Diego Comic-Con for those out there.
Yeah.
It's one of the
Yeah.
big one.
Yep. San
He's like,
Diego.
it's Fresno Comic Con. No, it's the real thing. It's San Diego Comic Con. It's
Oh,
Super
not-
Bowl.
Not to diminish,
Not
other
at all.
cons, but yeah, it's the big daddy of Comic Cons that it's not New York. So yeah.
Right.
There's been a lot of stuff coming out over the last few days about what we'll be displaying and where. But yeah, it's just been kind of a busy week since the last show. So
Dang.
yeah, I'm just busy and just trying to stay, not busy. Same as
Yeah.
ever.
Fair enough. Trying to get that lounging time.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, I know I talked to you a while back. You were like, oh, well, San Diego Comic Con, I'll see. Like, I was tempted to the idea of like sending you stuff to get signed, but then I thought of the lines at San Diego Comic Con. It's like, you have better things to do. You have better things to do than that.
I have already committed to getting 2 people exclusive card playing mats, and then I've also got to get Scott from DC Squadcast and the DC Fanimated stream a collectible figure. It's only going to be at Comic-Con of Old Man Bruce Wayne and Ace from Batman Beyond. So yeah, I've got quite a few commitments on top of my main focus being Hall H. So yeah, as much as I would love to go see the premiere of Batman Cape Crusader, I don't know if I'll be able to because I just might be in Hall H the entire time.
Hey, there you go. And that
I've
actually
always
leads us right
wondered
into
that,
this.
like how that works. Like when you go there and you want to get into Hall H, like how early do you have to get in line?
So from my understanding, the typical practice is like Friday morning all the way into Saturday.
Wow.
Jeez.
But-
'Cause, like,
But the thing is like, since I'm coordinating with a group of people, if there's something that I can, step away from, my spot in line will still be
Yeah.
there when I get back from doing other said thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess if you were going alone, that'd be harder. 'Cause then you're like, wait, I have no one to
Correct.
stand in line for me.
Correct.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Correct.
And as far as like Hall H, like, I mean, how many people can that room fit? Like, I know nothing about besides what happens in Hall H, but
It's funny because I was actually watching like Hall H reveals earlier today before I got off work, and like it seems sizable. I think it can fit I between 1,500 and 2,000
No.
people,
It
something like
can
that.
fit 6,130 attendees.
Oh, okay, there you go.
It's it's pretty fucking huge.
I
But
was off
still,
by about half, but yeah.
but still, I mean, 6,000 people. I mean, there's more than 6,000 people at Comic-Con as it is, so it's going to be nuts.
Right.
well, I mean, like, I know I have some friends who just did Denver Fan Expo this past weekend, and they had like over 100,000 fans at that convention.
Yeah.
And that's just Denver Fan Expo, which is a big con, but again, it's not San Diego, so I mean, that's
Right.
just absolute madness.
Right.
But like Phil alluded to, though, they are going to be premiering Caped Crusader, which is going to be streaming on Amazon Prime at San Diego Comic-Con, which is exciting. So as far as them premiering it, like, is that them putting out like an episode or two? People watch it there? Or?
Apparently it's going to be probably an episode or two, but it's followed by a Q&A with Matt Reeves, which
That's awesome.
is cool. But at the same time, I'm like, is it only just going to be Matt Reeves, or is like Bruce Timm going to be there too? Because he's the EP, and like, you know, James Tucker, who's a writer, and like Ed
Maybe some of the voice
Brubaker.
actors?
Yeah, you know, I wonder if there will be any other people, but so far from what I saw, it's just Matt Reeves right now for the Q&A, which would be cool. And if he's at Comic-Con, I'd have to wonder if he's maybe going to possibly show up for something pertaining to the Penguin, even maybe the Batman Part 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
It would be nice, but I'm not holding my breath for it. The fact that he's there promoting Cape Crusader is just cool enough for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, in the event I do get to go to it, I don't think I will, but if I do, if by some miracle I do, I think one question I would have for him would be like, you know, what is it like transitioning from taking Batman in a modern perspective and showcasing his detective skills there, and then doing it in animated form in a 1940 setting? Like, what's it like doing two different versions of Batman, but having similar tonal and you know, story structure and like, you know, character. What's the word I'm looking for here? You know, character portrayal. I guess would be the best way to say that.
Yeah, characterization. Yeah, that'd be
Characterization. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see what he'd say to that. I think if anything else, like if he does anything more than the animated series, I think he'd do more stuff with the Penguin show rather than the Batman Part 2, just because, again, like they're filming that next year, right? That's the tentative plan.
According to Andy Serkis, they're going to start filming early next year.
Okay, yeah. So since the Penguin, like they've already had trailers out, I think that if they were to talk about anything, it would be the Penguin. But even then, they already have some trailers out. So
yeah, I think that would be, you know, I don't think you want to take too much light away from the Penguin right before it comes out, because obviously a lot of people have a lot of questions about the Batman Part 2. But, you know, with the Penguin coming out, I think there should be, you know, an immediate attention to that, because it is a thing that is in this universe. It is shining a light on a very popular character from that movie, and just a popular character in general. You know, the Penguin is one of Batman's most iconic and notorious villains in his rogues gallery. So why not showcase, you know, his time to shine? Obviously, Colin Farrell delivered just an excellent performance in that movie. So why not try and expand on that while also taking an opportunity to expand on the world a little bit too, especially in a way that, you know, Christopher Nolan didn't get the opportunity. Rather, he opted not to do the because like when you think about Nolan's trilogy, it's very easy to be like, oh, you could do a TV show based on like the Joker, or you could have done like, you know, a whole mini series based on the League of Shadows with Bane and how he came to be and how he rose up the ranks. Right. I don't think that something like that was even on the topic of conversation way back when, because back then streaming wasn't a thing. You know, people were just, you know, zero focused in on doing a trilogy if you were lucky.
Also DC's main focus television wise was like CW stuff, and so like if they were going to do anything Dark Knight related and it'd be CW, it would very much pale in comparison.
Well, even back then it wouldn't even be like it. I don't think it was the CW back then. It was still KQCA 58 or the WB. You know, it was still Smallville. Smallville was still airing at the time. So even then, I don't think it would be even close to that. But yeah, you know, after The Dark Knight Rises, you know, we got Arrow, and that's kind of what kickstarted and even saved the CW. Like, had Arrow not been a success, the CW wouldn't have likely succeeded. So
or at least been on as long as it had been. That's for sure.
Right.
Well, and but like the fact that Matt Reeves is going to be there, I think says a little bit about the state of DC in the sense that, you know, James Gunn has said multiple times that he's not going to be there because he'll be filming Superman, but Matt Reeves is going to have a Q&A panel. So, you know, he's really letting Matt Reeves kind of have, you know, his kind of moment there, you know, to talk about his Batman universe, which I think is really cool. I mean, I like what Matt Reeves did with the Batman, and I really want to see what he does in part 2.
Oh yeah,
obviously the Cape Crusaders is going to be a cool look at Batman, but yeah, seeing the difference between, you know, Pattinson's Batman and the Cape Crusader Batman, pretty interesting seeing as they're both coming from Matt Reeves.
Yeah, and also just for me, the more different types of Batman you can give me, the happier I am. Just because, again, you have the modern take, the younger Batman, then you have the detective noir 40s style, and then I love seeing that dichotomy of how many different ways you can approach Batman, and also just having a new animated series for newer generation, because like obviously Batman the animated series still holds up very well today. Like it's still very much a relevant thing in comic book pop culture, but you don't have it airing new episodes every week like you had, you know, back in the 90s with that show. And so you can have kids get exposed to that. And also the fact that Batman, you know, being a detective and like maybe a darker tone will, I'm sorry, my wife's trying to distract me and like trying to dance all weird in front of me. Anyway, yeah, just like the darker tone will kind of like help people see the different ways you can approach Batman. Because a lot of people have seen, again, you have the Adam West, you have all these different things. So I just love seeing them approach the darker side of it, which is what appeals to me. Yeah,
I'm excited for that show in general. I actually know someone who got a screener for it, and he said the first episode was great. So I'm really looking forward to that. No, I'll be watching it regardless. You know, it's going to be, you know, probably one for the books, especially considering they're dropping all 10 episodes at the same time.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I mean, they're not trying to drag it out into like a, you know, 10 episode, you know, a weekly thing. So that's cool.
No, I wonder if that says anything about what Amazon's going to want to do with their future shows. Like, for instance, like Invincible was airing week by week. Do you think if they follow this pattern, or do you think it's more of Warner Brothers say? Well,
didn't Invincible initially drop all 8 episodes for the first season, and then they broke up the second season into 2 parts?
I think so.
4 episodes? Yeah, so
I think they did.
It's a case by case basis as far as Amazon's concerned, because like you know, they did the same thing with Fallout. They dropped all 8 episodes, and I don't doubt one bit, considering how hit that show was and how, you know, immediately they greenlit season 2. They're gonna do what they did with The Boys. They're going to do like a 3 episode premiere, and then they're gonna fucking slow drip it. They're gonna you know, give you a little bit at a time, week to week. It's going to be a week to week model. And if Batman Cape Crusader hits in the same way, which it's fucking Batman, I think it will. I think if they do season 2, they're either going to do what they did with Invincible and like break up season 2 into 2 parts, 4 episodes, 5 episodes here, 5 episodes there, or they might pull like a more boys approach to it and just do 3 episode premiere and then the rest, you know, following weeks episode by episode.
I think when it comes to Fallout, it was, you know, it was such a, you know, it's. Not everyone knew what Fallout was. A lot of the people who didn't play the games or had no familiarity with the franchise didn't know what it was. And so I think when they made those, they said, hey, let's just drop them all so that if the normies are going to, I say normies, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they watch the show, they're going to want to keep watching it because everything's available. And the show's actually really good. And so it was easy to watch because you were just like, yeah, if I had to go week by week and I didn't know anything about Fallout or even knew what the franchise was, I think after a certain number of weeks, you start to forget small details and you're kind of like, wait, what happened again? I liked how it was all available at once. Now, when it comes to Batman, the Cape Crusader, I do kind of feel like when they acquired that from WB that it may have come with a stipulation of like, yeah, when you release it, you release it all at once. Because if you do week by week, that is kind of like, you know, you're drawing in and you're creating something, you know, week by week by week. And I could be dead wrong, but I can imagine them saying, yeah, just drop it all at once because it's not officially there. You know, they didn't make the show.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I could see that.
That's kind of a shitty way of looking at it, but but it wouldn't surprise me if there was a stipulation like you got to drop it all at once. You can't do a weekly,
I mean, it's possible, but considering Warner Brothers gave it up to Amazon probably had full right to do whatever they want with it.
I'm surprised they gave that one up too, because I mean that's Batman, any kind of Batman on anything, you'd be like, keep that,
Right.
Well, that's like, what is it? My Adventures of with Superman, isn't that on like Adult Swim?
It's on Adult Swim, but then it comes to Max the next day, 6 a.m. PST, 9 a.m. EST.
See, and even that is interesting, kind of like how they put it out on TV and then you can stream it on Max. But I mean, a lot of shows, even the big networks do that with they drop the show on network television and then they stream it on Hulu.
Yeah.
And they'll say like, this show will be available on Hulu tomorrow. Like, what?
Which, speaking of Hulu, like, I'm just annoyed at the fact that, like, I tried using the Hulu app a couple weeks back. Doesn't work. You have to go through Disney Plus to watch Hulu now. It's like, why? Yeah.
Oh, really?
My Hulu app would not work, and I had to go through Disney Plus to actually use Hulu. It was like, this is really stupid.
Well, it kind of makes sense, from Disney's standpoint, because they're like, oh no, you got to go through the Disney Plus app. You don't have an account with Hulu? You're a boss. Oh, you can't log into 2 accounts on 2 different streaming services. So you're gonna have to combine those together. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, like, I have Verizon, and so they both come with Verizon. So I mean, that's package thing. But if you don't have it, then you're in that situation where, got to get Disney Plus before you get Hulu.
What sucks is that, like, when I was staying at the beach house, the Wi-Fi there really sucked. We had almost zero cell service, but then they had a cell phone repeater inside of the house that was only for Verizon, and none of us had Verizon. We're like, oh my gosh, damn it,
that sucks.
Yeah. I tried to call Ryan once. I was like, I was all broken up. He's like,
I was like, is it Tauntaun?
Oh my gosh. The fact that, like, you had little services like, okay, I'll use this time to call Ryan so I can say that I did call him, and then have to where the call drops.
I forgot what I had to ask him, and it was just like,
he's like, I fulfilled my obligation as a friend.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
But speaking of Batman on TV, there was another piece of news that's a little less happy for Batman fans, and that is the Arkham Asylum series is no longer moving forward at Max.
Yeah.
Which, if I understand, was originally going to be in Matt Reeves' universe, and then was going to be retooled to the DCU, and then just kind of fell from there. I think we've touched upon this a little bit. I think maybe you touched upon it last week, Phil.
I think this news actually broke on Friday, so it was after the show. But
okay,
yeah, this show's actually been through quite a few different creative overhauls. It initially started out as a GCPD procedural set, I think somewhere like a year before the events of the Batman. Joe Barton was attached as a showrunner. They parted ways, and Matt Reeves came out and said it had evolved into some kind of Arkham Asylum show. And then there was another showrunner or two attached to it before they eventually got kicked to the curb or, departed ways due to creative differences. And then not too long ago, James Gunn said that Matt Reeves was developing the Arkham show as part of the DCU, not his universe. And then as of Friday, it has been announced that Max passed on greenlighting the show. So, I'm not really surprised. I mean, the Max and HBO, they've already got Lanterns, Waller, Peacemaker season 2, and what's the other one? Creature Commandos, and there's another show too that I'm not thinking of at the top of my head. I said Waller, Peacemaker, Lanterns. There should be, and even Penguin, right? Like they've got, they've already got
Paradise Lost. They haven't really announced anything about that, but that's going to be a show.
Sure, but it's not in their immediate green light. It's not, currently happening as of right now, and it's not under DC, but like as of DC happening right now on HBO, it's, you have Creature Commandos, which is going to be on Max. You've got, Penguin, Peacemaker, Waller's for sure happening after Peacemaker season 2, and then Lanterns just got greenlit. So I think ultimately Booster Gold, yes, but again, that's not immediate. It's not been greenlit. There's no showrunner attached to it. There's no writer's room. So not the same kind of conversation, but it's ultimately, I think it boils down to the fact they have enough DC on Max/HBO as it stands right now. Doing one more might just be a bit too much. And also considering that Batman Brave and the Bold is down the pipeline, I think that it would be kind of redundant to showcase Arkham Asylum with his rogues before you show him. You kind of need a Batman to show before you show your villains, personally. But ultimately, I think it just kind of boils down to maybe Casey Bloys went, we've already got enough DC right now. We can just kind of shelve this for later. So I don't think it was ever like canceled, but like it's been shelved. Like they passed on it. It doesn't mean it can't get revived somewhere down the line, but as of right now, it is not happening.
Yeah. And my mentality about that is that, you didn't get an Arkham Asylum show where you can show off a lot of villains potentially in Matt Reeves' universe, but guess what? You get season 2 of Peacemaker. Freaking
Woo!
Yeah.
In fairness, that was announced a long while ago.
I know. I'm just mostly joking about that.
Like, believe me, but I'm right there with you. I'm kind of like, do we really need another season? Especially considering like season 2 is taking place after season 1, even though season 1 has some things that aren't canon, blah, 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 blah. Like all the hoops and hoopla you have to go through to justify a second season of it anyway. Honestly, like the only draw for me there is having Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr. coming into this. I'm like, okay, I'll watch it for him. And even the small Batman tie that is, what is the character's name that's part of Checkmate? Oh, fuck. Oh, man, I don't remember, but there's a character that has Batman ties that's showing up in the second season that I'll probably watch it for. But other than that, no, I don't really care much for the jingoistic nonsense that is John Cena's Peacemaker.
Nope. Couldn't get past episode 3.
I liked the first season, but if they didn't do a second one, I could totally understand that. But I guess because it was James Gunn's project, they want to keep pumping those out for whatever reason. I mean, like where that's going to fit in with his overall universe, I'm not sure like how that's going to overall, connect overall. I know this show and Waller will connect, and I'm sure Creature Commandos will kind of lend to it as well. So I think he's going to have like this main storyline happening in the movies and have kind of like this sub storyline happening on the shows that will kind of connect to the movies every so often or in its own way, which is might not be that bad. But I mean, Beltray says the Arkham Asylum show doesn't even make sense in the Matt Reeves in Matt's universe. I don't really see how. Because I mean, at the end of the Batman, you saw the Riddler meet the Joker, so that's you could easily take place picking up right where that movie left off in how Joker and some of the other Rogues Gallery villains, break out of Arkham and then become,
Well, in fairness, if it was also being developed before as a year 1-ish GCPD procedural and then it evolved into something Arkham Asylum, you could assume that Joker's not the only one Batman put away in there before the events of the Batman. Like, there could be a Joker there. There could be like maybe a Mad Hatter, maybe a Professor Pig, some lesser known villains, even maybe a ventriloquist, because the ventriloquist actually played a part in the kind of ish comic that is kind of related, not related to the Batman, The Imposter. That Wesker does play a part in that book, and that book is kind of attached to the Batman universe, but not really, because it's written by Mattson Tomlin, and the look of it is very much the Batman, but it's not outright said whether or not the book is canon to that universe. I know for sure that the Riddler Year 1 book that Paul Dano writes is canon,
which is incredible.
You've read it?
Yeah, I have all the issues. It's fantastic. And what was the book you just mentioned before that?
The Imposter. It's written by Mattson Tomlin, who got an uncredited write on the Batman, and he's writing the Batman Part 2 with Matt Reeves.
Yeah, and the suit in that book is very reminiscent of the Batman suits, and the tone is very much the same. So honestly, I kind of just consider the Imposter and the Riddler books to be in the same universe, just because, again, they both have very similar vibe. But yeah, if anyone out there has not read the both the Imposter and Riddler Year 1 book, I would highly recommend it, because Paul Dano really... It's kind of weird, because it's like the Riddler book is almost kind of like you're reading the notes of a madman, and it almost feels like it's kind of drawn by a madman with a bunch of just files and paperwork sprawled in there. So it's like you get a really good sense as to what Riddler's state of mind is.
I saw a few panels of the book. It looked incredible. There's even a point like where Edward Nashton like has a confrontation with Batman, and he's just fucking flabbergasted by him.
Oh yeah, he's a big fan. Like he genuinely thinks they're on the same side, that they're working together.
Yeah, I think normally more often than not, I feel like it's canon is whatever you say, right? Like canon is whatever your headspace is, whatever you determine as canon. But in this very specific instance, considering that this comic was written by the guy who played the character in the movie, it's kind of hard not to look at this book and be like, yeah, no, it ain't canon. No, I think it could be considered canon.
I mean, you're literally in the headspace of the guy who portrayed the villain. And real quick, our good friend Aaron Bailey here says he blames Zack Snyder. Here you go. Here's the explosion for you. Aaron, hope you're doing well, buddy. Aaron's doing his own Batman stuff with
Night of the Batman.
Night of the Batman.
Yeah.
Night of the Batman.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, everything I've seen from it looks absolutely awesome.
Speaking of, I blame Zack Snyder. I mean, did you guys see that thing about what was it, Simon Pegg?
That was so stupid.
Said that he what's up, Andy? Said that he thought that was really bad that Zack Snyder stole Romero's original name of Dawn of the Dead.
That's a slow news day type of article, right?
That was just out of nowhere. It was like, what the fuck?
Well, I love I already pointed out that he was in a movie called Star Trek, which is a reboot of the original Star Trek.
Yeah.
And it's like, buddy, come on.
I mean, I get what he's saying. Yeah, he was in Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead, yeah.
Well, but he's talking about taking the same name as George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. But like, I get what he means, but it's kind of like nobody cares. That's not even a topic. Why even? It's kind of like
nobody cares about the same title. Second off, as far as I understand, that was already like they were already wanting to make a Dawn of the Dead reboot before Zack Snyder got attached to it. Like they already named it that, so it's like, okay, why change it? And again, third off, nobody cares. Like nobody cares. Like it was a slow news type of day article, which I just scrolled past. I was like, this is so stupid.
I saw that. It was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. And it made its rounds too. I was like, oh, here we go. But it didn't really go anywhere. I don't think it did.
People needed their daily internet feud anger fuel, and that fit the bill for today for some people.
And he posted this where?
It was like an interview he had.
An interview. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did an interview, and that was one of the...
Which I couldn't find the link to the actual interview, so I almost thought for a second that it was just a fake quote that people were just passing around, which does happen a lot.
Ryan, what are you eating?
Fettuccine Alfredo.
Fettuccine Alfredo, yeah, that's right.
I guessed it.
Hey!
It's Alfredo!
I know my pastas.
Mamma mia.
Pasta's most of my meals, so I better know by this point.
There we go. But yeah, I thought it was a little corny, the whole thing about Simon Pegg and all that, but but overall though, like when it comes to like Matt Reeves the Batman, I'm just glad that it's in its own separate Elseworlds subdivision of DC. I like what he's doing, and I really hope that they don't try and combine that Batman with the
or
DC
reimagine
Superman.
him as the kind of like what they're doing with Peacemaker 2. They're like kind of trying to make it fit, trying to put a square.
I mean, you can argue they're doing that with Daredevil. They're kind of reimagining
they are
the
doing
Netflix
that.
Daredevil.
Yes.
But they brought along people from that franchise that was on Netflix, that project. So there is some people there that know how to, kind of recreate that. But yeah.
And I'm so sick and tired of seeing people on social media saying they should just connect the Batman to the James Gunn's universe. It's like, no, they shouldn't.
Well, that's going to happen. It
is going to happen because people are stupid.
They were even doing that with Pattinson and Cavill. They were like, remember one of our used to be good friends was putting that shit out there, that they were going to fuse those and make a world's finest movie with Cavill and Pattinson. I was like, nope, that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, no, just stop trying to manifest that, people, because first and foremost, it's not good for the Batman universe.
You know what's funny? It's like some people even say in the same breath, oh, Batman Part 2 isn't happening. Oh, but wouldn't you love to see Robert Pattinson's Batman be next to David Cornsweet's Superman? I'm just like, you people just contradict the shit out of yourself,
Dude,
don't you?
It's the whole concept of people saying, oh, the Batman 2 is going to get canceled. That is the dumbest thing that I've heard that still keeps being said. It's like, dude, there's no way it's going to get canceled.
Like,
they're making
the
Penguin series. Wait, you gonna drop that and then be like, oh yeah,
that was already in the works. That was already
but still.
I understand why they look. A lot of people are just like, cancel everything except for what they're making over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. A lot of people are passionate about seeing Matt Reeves get a trilogy. I don't think it's going to get to that, but I think that he's definitely going to get to a second film.
Yeah, and my thing is that like people they're saying like, oh well, Batman 2 is going to get canceled. Like, okay, but like even if Warner Brothers executives really wanted to cancel it, let's say theoretically they had a vendetta against Matt Reeves' Batman and they didn't want anything get in the way of their DCU, right? Imagine how many people they'd piss off if they canceled that. Like the Batman was a Batman movie that actually brought two sides of Batman fandom together. Like there are people who are very much diehard Dark Knight, some people very diehard Batfleck, right? And there's this crap. But
that doesn't work.
The Batman movie is something that's, again, it's in its own universe. It does its
You
own.
gotta change the S.
About that, people are happy about that.
I didn't make it.
That's so poor. Oh my
It's
god,
so scary.
It's so poor, but what I'm saying is that like that those two, they're not. That's not like they are their own thing.
The tone
you know?
the tones are different. You
But
can't.
again,
you can't mess
fans
with that.
appreciate the fact that it's doing its own thing and that it's not connected to anything, and therefore it's just going to.
I mean,
tell its own
it's the same
focused
thing.
narrative.
And I brought this up with like Birds of Prey or whatever, with like, Batman. Like if you took Ben Affleck's Batman and you put him next to the other characters or whatever, they just don't fit him in that awesome suit. Same thing with Pattinson. If you put Pattinson over their corn sweat with fucking Guy Gardner's fucking outfit, that doesn't fucking make sense. It doesn't mesh. It doesn't match. It's weird. It's not. No, you can't really fuse it unless you make some big fucking change and like. Put fucking Pattinson in a blue and gray black, Batman suit.
I am glad,
which isn't going to happen.
I'm glad you brought those suits because I wasn't able to be on here last week to talk about those leaked suits. And
the fucking Power Rangers.
I
They look
have
like
things
fucking
to
Power
say.
Rangers.
I have things to say because those suits.
right. You didn't even get a chance to talk about them last week. Yeah, it was just me,
Yeah.
me, Sean, and Andy. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like those suits. Look,
I'll
I
find
hope,
them right now.
I hope they look better in the movie. I genuinely do. But for how they look on the set photos, the most frustrating thing that I saw from this past week when those came out is people saying, guys, relax. These are Maxwell Lord's suits he made for the Justice League. It's like, okay, and that's supposed to explain them looking like garbage? Like, how is that supposed to be a good enough reasoning? This is Maxwell Lord Tech.
Well, it's
like this guy.
It's supposed to be like corporatized. You know what I mean? So
Still, like, you
they're
can make
matching suits.
You can make something look corporatized.
I mean,
but
look
also
at
still
fucking X-Men. When they were all in black leather, at least it didn't look like shit.
Exactly.
I know, but we don't
People kept
know the
saying that as if it was a good
storyline.
enough. Sure, I get it. I get, but we don't know the storyline of why the suits look similar. But you can make them look similar and corporatized without making them look like cheap cosplay.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can do
true.
that. You can do both. And that's my problem. People kept saying, oh, well, it's Lord Tech suits. Does that explain away? Is it meant to look like garbage? Does Lord Tech not know how to make decent looking suits in that universe? That's the question that
Well,
I
it is
have.
James Gunn's brother, so.
Honestly,
I'm trying
like,
to find the pictures.
and I'm sorry.
Well,
I
if you
like,
show them, there's a chance we could get taken down. So just
That's
keep that in
true.
mind.
That's
Oh
true.
yeah, then I won't.
and I'm sorry. And I've liked Nathan Fillion in a lot of things he's done, but I see those pictures of him as Guy Gardner and it looks god awful.
Hey, well, I'll tell you this. It's not
it's
as
pretty-
bad
it's-
as the
it's-
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 shit he had to put on.
It's
That's
pretty
true.
ironic that the only thing that works about his Guy Gardner is the bowl cut.
Actually,
even
the hair
then-
looks really the best thing
It's-
about him.
Pretty ironic. Like
Yeah.
everyone thought the bowl cut was going to look like garbage. It's actually the best thing about his whole look.
Well,
And that's not
but-
saying much.
But
No, not
that
really.
combined with the suit that he has, it just doesn't really. I don't know. It doesn't really work. It wouldn't surprise me if there was a scene, some kind of a flashback that showed him in like his comic accurate suit, because James Gunn has been really big about trying to be as comic accurate as possible. So it wouldn't surprise me if he found a way to like show that he once had a suit that was just like, what you saw in the comics, with the collar and all
Yeah,
that.
I don't know that even, Andy and Sean and I were just kind of looking at the Guy Gardner suit. We were all pretty much in agreement. It just doesn't look good. Like you had the basis for Guy Gardner was like right there throughout 40 years of history, because he was introduced I think in the mid to late 80s, and it literally he's just got a fucking jacket and black pants, like a vest and black pants. That's not that hard. You could have even kept the armband with his logo on it. It would have been fine.
Well, they have his the other suit, the yellow suit, right? He had a yellow suit.
It
was a
as far
different
as I know,
He's got
Right.
a
Hot
Superman
Hawkgirl had a
No. Guy Gardner
No,
had like
Guy
a blue
Gardner-
and yellow suit that he had
Yeah,
during Death and Return of Superman, right?
Right, and we were talking a couple weeks
Oh,
ago.
he did have a blue and yellow jacket. Yeah.
We were talking a couple weeks
okay.
about like, okay, the Green Lantern shit got greenlit or whatever. What are they going to look like? Oh, we're like, oh yeah, Greg Gardner's about to be shown or whatever, and we'll get a good idea of what these guys are going to look like.
And we're in
And that's what
leather.
we got. And I was like, oh shit, we're in
See,
trouble.
I don't think that at all. I think the Green Lanterns are going to look vastly different than what
I
Guy
sure
Gardner
hope
is.
I hope so.
I would hope so.
Well, considering that it's run by a different showrunner and other people are writing it and they're not under Maxwell Lord's payroll, yeah, I'd have to imagine they are not going to look anything like Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner was quick to be like, yeah, Max Lord, I'll take your paycheck. Just give me that suit. I'll wear it all damn day. Whereas Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan are probably like, nope.
The only one that looks good in the suit is Mr.
Terrific. Yeah,
He's the
he looks
only
Yeah,
great.
he looks
like
good.
the suit is tailored because you saw that Alex Ross picture or painting where it looks fucking damn close, and I'm like, so y'all just took him, you took Mr. Terrific, and we're like, I'm just gonna make multiples of that, but different colors.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He looks great.
I think Hawkgirl doesn't look too bad. The helmet is very much Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
I like her helmet and I like her mace.
Yeah, I don't mind the suit at all. I mean, it's got her color scheme. It's got her logo as the belt too. I was actually pretty surprised to see that.
I mean, it could be a case too where Terrific's in the movie, and then when those two show up, they make a comment about that, like, "What, you guys all dressed the same now?" Like, I mean, they're just a variation of Mr. Terrific.
Really,
also Metamorpho too. We haven't seen what he looks like.
Yeah, we haven't.
I'm hoping it's practical. I'm really hoping it's practical and not all.
Well, there's
CGI.
that guy who's all in blue. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's just visual
I saw that.
effect person trying to to help them out.
I think he's holding Mr. Terrific's fucking white, whatever the fuck he's sitting in,
Oh, his jetpack thing.
to like stabilize him or whatever, so it doesn't look so ridiculous.
Yeah, the jetpack. There's been a lot of shots of the jetpack floating around him, like.
Well, my thing about the suits is that the fear that I have about the scenes that they're featured, I fear that they're going to use that as a chance to make a joke about it, and like, oh, these suits look terrible. What the heck? Is like, well, you made the suits. Are you going to make a joke about how these suits look terrible? I wouldn't be surprised.
At least my suit doesn't have underwear on the outside. James Gunn.
I wouldn't be surprised. I
James
would not
Gunn
be
humor.
surprised at all. But yeah, no, I ran about that over. I didn't even rant too much about it. It's just I just thought they looked garbage, and I hope it looks a little bit better by the time the movie actually comes out, or we see a trailer or something. But
Yeah, I'm 2 for 4. I like Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, Superman, and Green Lantern. Jury's out.
Mr. Terrific, I think, looks great. Superman, for the most part, looks okay, except for how baggy it is.
He looks so weird in that one shot where he's coming out of the city hall and he's like coming down. I'm like, damn, dude, that looks like a fucking diaper. It doesn't even look like, shorts on the outside. It looks like a fucking diaper.
I'm
And
not
then-
sure about his suit. It doesn't. It's not very form fitting. Even like Brandon Routh's wasn't exactly like, oh, I'm gonna accentuate all your muscles, but it was more form
You
fitting.
can still
than
tell
this.
that he was muscular.
This one, it looks like he's wearing like a flak jacket or like a heavy suit, and
He doesn't want to get burned.
Well, it's unfortunate because we've seen how big David Cornsweet got for the role. Like, he got jacked for it, and he has a suit that doesn't show any of that. It's kind of like when who was that actor in the Eternals who got just super jacked for it and was just complete waste of his time. Like, there was nothing to show for it when he got absolutely jacked for it. It's the
I don't
same
remember.
freaking thing.
but yeah,
But anyway, that's absolutely irritating. But speaking of comic stuff, we had actually a teaser for something that I feel like I can speak for all of us when it was first
Wait a minute.
announced.
Real quick, we mentioned comics. I guess I also forgot to mention I went to a bookstore this past week and I actually got some books.
Ooh.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I did. Here, let me pull them up real quick. So,
I haven't
Trying to
only
pick
picked
this
this up.
up.
Well. Ooh, nice.
Ooh, nice.
Andy Kubert.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Batman and Son,
Mhm.
Grant Morrison, the introduction of Damian Wayne, and then I also got this. World's Finest.
Nice.
World's finest.
Yep.
I
Mark
have
Waid
a
and,
Tim
Dan
Sale
Moore.
cover for that, signed by Mark Waid.
There you go.
Which is
Yeah,
really cool.
that'll be my my reading material on the plane for San Diego.
Nice.
Nice. Very, very nice.
I did want to share this. I just got this image. This is actually the entire Justice League
Oh.
team right
no.
here. There they are. Right
Oh,
there.
Oh, well, that is the Mr. Terrific bike that they're going to use.
That's pretty funny, actually.
That's what they look like. You're just like, no, come on. But you know
like-
what? We haven't seen the movie yet. We haven't
Fair.
seen this. You know, I'm willing to give it that. Like, I can make fun of it all I want, but I
Yeah.
need to see it to really feel it. And if it sucks, it sucks. I'm going to let you know, but we'll see. We still
Yeah.
got another year. We're like a year away.
We'll see. And speaking of we'll see, like I
we'll
was
see.
kind of hinting at before, there was a teaser for a show that when it was first announced, I think I can speak for all of us that we just did not care that it was going to be a thing. The teaser came out and kind of made things a little interesting. There was a new teaser for Agatha All Along, or Agatha Harkness, whatever it's called now. And of course, Agatha was the witch character we saw in WandaVision. And say what
We
you will
should be
about
able
the
to watch that. It's on Disney Plus. They usually allow you to watch their trailers.
Yeah, we shouldn't get hit with a copyright strike
Yeah.
from anything Marvel.
Yeah, Andre, do you want to pull that up really quick?
Let me go find it.
Hold on.
Thanks, Andre.
hold on.
I got it.
You're the
just gotta
best.
find it.
Andre's our track research team.
I start playing a different one. Like, what?
But yeah, we
Oh,
got
hey.
again a teaser for Agatha Harkness. Which how many name changes did the show go through? I feel like it was like 4 or
I don't
5.
know. Here it is.
Oh, here we go. Hold on.
Oh.
Before we do that, we have a super chat. There you go.
Our good friend, our favorite
What's up?
dentist, Q. Q saying y'all should be happy with the Superman trunk thong. DC fans for choice.
Rejoice.
Oh my gosh,
Rejoice.
that's funny. Much appreciate Q. And
Thank
Q,
you,
by the
sir.
way, if you're still in Michigan, then I will be in your neck of the woods this weekend for Capital City Comic Con in Lansing. So
Oh,
if you're
Oh,
gonna-
there we go.
I'll be out
is
there.
this another
so-
big lick?
No, it's called Capital City Comic Con.
Oh,
You
I
just
just
said the name.
I wasn't paying it. I was watching this. I was like, oh.
Yeah, so no, Capital City Comic Con. I'll be there. It's a 3-day event this weekend, which is pretty exciting. I hadn't done a 3-day event since Baltimore Comic Con last year. So it should be a good time. So we got the trailer for Agatha All Along. So they did call Agatha All Along.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fun. All right, go ahead.
Another beautiful day.
Surprised to see you out here, Detective. Jane Doe. Found her down here by the water.
It's interesting to have her in her own little
Love force
fantasy
trauma.
world thing.
What happened to you? I have a lead in the case, but I can't shake this feeling I'm seeing it wrong.
Ooh,
Is this
Wanda.
really how you see yourself? That witch is gone, leaving you trapped in her distorted spell. Claw your way out.
Hmm.
I miss the glory days. She took every bit of power I had, but I can beat that witch again. Well, the gang's all here. Let's hit the road. I'm gonna walk the witch's road. The road is a death wish. Join me. What witch in her right mind would join Agatha Harkness's coven?
Not looking for right-minded witches, as it happens.
Interesting.
Sweetheart, you okay? Oh my God! Whoa! What's she doing? Where's she going?
They're going for some like straight up horror elements in this, which
Yep.
is interesting.
Yep.
Trying to pave the way for Blade.
Eventually.
No,
Getting everybody slowly ready.
I'm hoping that there is some kind of payoff for the show, because I mean, obviously it's a show that nobody really asks for, and WandaVision came out how long ago? Like
2021, about 3 years ago.
3.5
years ago by the time this show debuts.
It feels like this show should have came out like 2 years ago.
I can't disagree with that, but it also depends on what kind of story they're telling. Because obviously, you had to get past Multiverse of Madness for this even to have been a thing too. Because she's dead following that movie. So.
Well, but not only that though, it's coming out after Deadpool and Wolverine, where we see the portals that that Doctor Strange and all those guys make. So
right.
There may be a connection to that later, towards the end of it, in terms of like, why that coven is coming together and to do and what they're trying to accomplish. But I think it could be cool, but I don't know. Disney Plus shows, especially like the MCU lately, just haven't been that great. So I'm not gonna hold my breath. Yeah, very hit and miss. I'm not gonna hold my breath, but I'll definitely watch it, and we'll see how it goes.
I think there's definitely more good than bad MCU shows. Like Falcon Winter Soldier was pretty solid.
It was pretty good.
WandaVision was great. Savored the ending episode, the last episode. You can take or leave.
And the Ralph Bohner reveal. Yeah,
exactly.
That was
Loki. Loki was arguably like the best one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then you've got Miss Marvel, which I thought was great all the way through, just a solid through story. Moon Knight was good. I wouldn't say it was the best shit on it since baked bread, but it was good. It did what it needed to do. It made the question people keep asking, like, where the fuck is Moon Knight? People want more Moon Knight.
Yeah,
where is he? You have Oscar Isaac there. I mean, it's going to be good,
right? Yeah, and then you've also got She-Hulk. Take it or leave it. Some people on both sides of the fence, and then there's the complete disaster that is Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Secret Invasion was really bad.
It started off so strong, and then it just ended on the biggest whimper ever.
I still can't get over the fact that they had AI images in their intro.
Yeah,
I still can't get over that.
That wasn't a good way to start. But when Colby Smolder's character died, I was like, "What? They killed her off? That's lame."
And Ben Mendelsohn. Yeah.
Well, I was just like, "Why would you kill him off?" Unless he was demanding to be out of the MCU, there was no reason to kill him off. He was a good character. I was like, so he dies, and we don't see him again because Secret Invasion, he dies. Damn.
Real quick, we got a super chat here from Connor Dorian saying, prediction for Agatha all along, that teen that is hanging out with Agatha will turn out to be one of Wanda's kids.
That's actually been confirmed. That is, in fact, Billy Kaplan. That is Wiccan.
Oh, there we go.
That is, in fact, one of Wanda's children. Yes.
And because this prediction, explosion for you. There you go. I mean, confirmed. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, from what I understand, that was confirmed yesterday along when the trailer dropped. He is, in fact, Billy Kaplan. He is, in fact, Wiccan. Whether or not he is in a relationship with Hulkling, I do not know for sure. But,
I wonder
from what I understand. Yeah, I'd have to guess some dimensional magic or something. I'm not 100% sure on the logistics of that, but I guess that's the fun of that story. We're just going to have to find out. And obviously, even in the trailer, they showed W. Maximoff, so Wanda has some kind of influence on this show, even from beyond the grave.
Right. So.
Well, it shows Wanda dead too, so it's like because she died and Agatha was still in that, whatever you want to call it, like she left Agatha in that
Westview.
In
Westview. Yeah.
So because she died, it makes sense that in that crime scene, scene, she found her body. Now, they're probably never going to show her face because who knows if they paid enough money to get, what's her name?
Well, Elizabeth Olsen's been very coy. She's like, I haven't been asked to come back, but if I could come back, I totally would. So it's like, are you just being nice or are you just being honest?
The basic actor answer,
Right. Especially in the MCU.
But even in that trailer, like they didn't show her face. They just showed her body face down. So it kind of leads me to believe that like maybe you don't see her face. I don't know, because I mean, if you saw her face, you would wonder, is she going to be in this show some more? But that doesn't always, as we know, that doesn't always happen in a lot of these shows.
Yeah, their hints don't usually pan out. And real quick, Chris saying that there's a new Captain America trailer dropping tomorrow.
Possibly, yeah. We'll see if that actually happens.
Yeah, Captain America, Brave New
Captain
World.
Tomorrow.
Captain Tomorrow. No, Captain America, Brave New World, which I'm so glad they changed the title from New World Order. Brave
Yeah,
New World.
I think that was a good
Yeah.
call.
It was very dumb to begin with.
A whole new world.
No, but I mean, if you look at it like a Brave New World, like I still think there's quite a bit riding on this. I mean, it had an extensive amount of reshoots, and this is the next. I think this is the next one coming out after Deadpool and Wolverine. So it's like
Movie wise, yes.
it's so like this has to kind of hit. Like it has to cover some bases. It has to do a lot of things, and if it flops after Deadpool and Wolverine, that's not going to help. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine is already set to, it's predicted to make $1 billion, which I think it will. But you got to follow that up with something strong and something that kind of carries the story of where the main MCU timeline is going, especially on 616, because we've seen everything happening off world and on TV shows. And I just want to see what's happening just right in the heart of where the leftover of the Avengers are still kind of running around.
I see your point, but at the same time, Marvel needs to they need to tell good stories without trying to hammer home the big story. That's what they need to do. And honestly, Deadpool and Wolverine looks like it's going to do exactly that. It's going to bring you the fucking movie of here's Deadpool, here's Wolverine. We know you've been wanting this for such a long time. We're giving you Wolverine in the yellow suit after 20 years. We know this is what you want. But in like a backdoor kind of way, they're also like, yes, this is a stepping stone to Secret Wars. And I feel like if Captain America Brave New World is going to do something like that, do the same thing. Tell me a great story with Sam Wilson as Captain America.
Yes.
But then also, if the rumors are true, then yes, at some point at the end of the movie, show me who the new Avengers are going to be. Show me Sam Wilson handpicking his brand new roster of Avengers for this. That is what I would really love to see. But honestly, on the whole, show me a good story with Sam Wilson above all. You've already shown me Joaquin Torres in his really weird looking Falcon suit. So there's clearly going to be, a Captain America and Falcon duology symbiosis going on there too. We know that the leader is coming back in the form of Tim Blake Nelson. We know there's a couple other new faces. We know Giancarlo Esposito is part of some reshoots with this. So yeah, I think they need to needs to make some money to be, successful. But at the same time, I feel like if you tell a good story, and also the fact of the matter is, this new Captain America is not Steve Rogers. You're releasing this movie during Black History Month. That's synergy in and of itself, because one of the main focuses of Falcon and Winter Soldier, like Isaiah Bradley outright tells Sam Wilson, nobody will ever be accepting of a black man holding that shield. And Sam Wilson fucking proved him wrong. And I think that's going to hit home for a lot of people in a similar way that Black Panther did, but I feel like it's going to be in a different way, because now you've got Sam Wilson taking up the mantle, the iconic mantle of Captain America. And I think that's really going to speak volumes and resonate with a lot of people.
Well, and I think too, because he's an established character, and so when people go to see this movie, they're going to feel more attached to his character because they've seen him before and a lot of other shit. Sebastian Stan, I would imagine, is going to get apprehended, or something's going to happen where he's going to get taken away because he's supposed to be in the Thunderbolts.
Yeah. He's not going to appear in this movie. He's
not at all.
Not at all.
Oh wow,
No.
I thought he was at least in the beginning, but so with that, it's like
My guess
agree.
is
he has to start picking his team.
The events of Captain America Brave New World and Thunderbolts happen very close together.
Yeah.
That's my guess, because
I
why
would
else
think so.
would Bucky not be present for Captain America Brave New World? Because he's occupied with whatever is going on with Thunderbolts. That's my guess.
Not only that, but then we had word that that the Young Avengers was getting canceled, which is crazy because you had the end credit scene where Miss Marvel goes and recruits Kate Bishop. So it's kind of like, well, wait a minute. So maybe are they looking to bring those characters? Like is Anthony Mackie, Captain America, is he going to pick them as part of the new of the new team, the new Avengers team? I don't know, but they got to figure something out.
Honestly, I feel like it's funny you mentioned that, because I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying it's just funny that people are saying that a movie that hasn't even been formally announced is already canceled.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
That doesn't even like. Do you people even listen to yourselves? That doesn't make any logical fucking sense. Like,
well, it's
so goofy.
It's one thing to say, Midnight Suns is going to get canceled. The Blade's going to get canceled. But you're talking about a film that hasn't even got off the ground yet. But the only difference is that this movie has an end credit scene that's attached to it. Or at the end of the Marvels, she recruits Kate Bishop. She's
Right.
like, yeah, I'm forming
Right.
a team.
And
So
it's
you're
not-
like, well,
and
wait
it's
a
all-
minute, they already established that. Like,
Well, on top of that, they've been kind of like putting pieces in place for these characters to form a Young Avengers team, right? Like you've got the younger grandson of Isaiah Bradley there, who's known as Patriot in the comics, right? You've got Wanda's kids from WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness. You've got Kate Bishop from Hawkeye. You've got Cassie Lang, Ant-Man, Wasp, Quantumania, and of course Miss Marvel. Like, yes, it is very easy to put those dots together and be like, oh yeah, eventually Marvel is probably going to do, Young Avengers. Is it going to be phase 5 or 6? I don't think so. No. I think it's going to be after Secret Wars. That's what I think. And honestly, I could even seeing it be like a 6 to 9 part Disney Plus series as opposed to a full-blown fucking movie.
Yeah, because at one point I thought, okay, well, if they do Secret Wars, then maybe on Earth, they're having the Young Avengers kind of come together to help defend Earth while all the great superheroes are away on Battle World or whatever. I thought maybe that's what they're gonna do, and then right when they're about to lose, that's when all the heroes come back, like, oh yay! But who knows?
Yeah.
But to say it's canceled already, I mean, unless they formally announce it, then probably not. But I just thought it was weird that they would announce that because they were gearing so much stuff up to a Young Avengers project. So that's why I was kind of like, what? And now they're not.
Well, they don't shoot themselves in the foot, like that. As far as like, yeah, we're canceling, unless it's like creative differences. We're canceling it, we're shelving it, whatever. They'll leave it open just in case there's another course correction, or they have to have like an audible, Yeah. So, it's not to say that, they're going to cancel anything, same thing with the whole Matt Reeves universe with them. Just let it be. Nobody's saying anything's being canceled. Just let it be. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah. But I mean, still, it's kind of like what Phil was saying. You're going to have Captain America: Brave New World. You're going to have the Thunderbolts. And then after that, I want to say I think it's Fantastic Four is the next project. I could be wrong.
Okay, so
I haven't looked at it in a minute.
The release date. Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. It is. I forgot that Thunderbolts moved from December to May. So it's Captain America: Brave New World, and then Thunderbolts in May, and then if everything goes smoothly, Fantastic Four should hit that July, because Fantastic Four comes out 2 weeks after James Gunn's Superman movie.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's going to be pretty insane. I don't know which one of those movies is going to move, but I feel like one of them might. But I could also see both of those movies sticking to their dates too. Just kind of depends on how post-production shakes out for both of those movies. Especially considering Fantastic Four goes into filming literally the day after Comic-Con. So, yeah.
I mean, they've already announced their cast, so they might as well get started. And it wouldn't surprise me if, like this takes place on a separate universe, and then at the end of it, they end up, on 616, or if not, maybe it's a case where they end up going to, kind of like in the comics, how, this big portal opened, and then they just ran in, and then and then they ended up on Battle World, or they ended up on the ship with heroes as opposed to the ship with villains on their way to Battle World, and something like that, where at the end of it something happens that brings them together with everybody else, but you can't wait, you won't know that until you see Secret Wars. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they do. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I think I even talked about this like 2 weeks ago. Kevin Feige was on like the official Marvel podcast, and he kind of alluded to that very idea. He was like, there are individuals out there who may have noticed that the skyline in the picture we dropped of Johnny Storm is a little bit different than what we've seen before in the MCU. And I will just say that those individuals are very, very intelligent, and, more or less saying and teasing the idea that, yes, the Fantastic Four is probably in a different universe, which, given all we do know about it, the Silver Surfer being included in this movie is the Shia LaBeouf version. She made her debut as a Silver Surfer in a alternate universe comic book. So yeah, I mean, I could also see them maybe changing Galactus from being like a planet-eating entity to a universe-ending entity. That wouldn't shock me either. But we'll see what happens. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited for Fantastic Four. I got my Fantastic Four shirt in the mail on Monday anyway. So hopefully I'll be wearing that to Hall H.
And see, yeah. So Captain America, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Blade to be announced.
Okay, that's the one I was thinking of. Blade is for sure getting moved. There's no way that movie
There's
meets
no
its November
way.
release date. There's no way.
I think at this point you just gotta take Blade and say, okay, you're gonna come out sometime after Secret Wars, and then we'll just figure that out then. 'Cause now he'll be shoehorned in. He'll just be like, hey, here I am.
Yeah.
But it's weird to go Avengers 5 and then Avengers Secret Wars. It just feels like, whoa, okay, we're gonna go back to back. I doubt it, but
I feel like if Marvel Studios is going to announce anything, they might show off part of what's on that Phase 6 slate. Because
they
Phase
have
5,
to.
like Phase 5 is coming to an end next year with Thunderbolts. Like if what I remember to be the case to be true, like Kevin Feige has said that Phase 5 ends with Thunderbolts. So if that is to be maintained, and this isn't the first time we've seen something like this either. We saw Avengers Age of Ultron, which capped off Phase 2, and then like a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, we had Ant-Man, which was the beginning of Phase 3. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to come to the conclusion that yes, one phase can end in the same year, another phase can begin. Like we've seen this happen from Marvel Studios before, and I can absolutely see that being the case again this next year with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked if Marvel Studios unveiled more of their Phase 6 plan at this upcoming Comic-Con. I really wouldn't.
Well, and with Fantastic Four, we're talking about how like the city skyline looked very different from what we've seen in 616. So
right.
What's funny is that it kind of reminds me of like what James Gunn is kind of going for in his Superman movie, where it's kind of like this kind of whimsical sort of sort of like what you saw in the Donner films. Now, obviously, Fantastic Four looks a little more Tomorrowland kind of looking. But it's interesting that they're both kind of going to have like this, what I consider a similar feel and look in terms of the city that they're in.
Yeah. I'm just excited. I'm just super excited for the Fantastic Four. Like I really can't just emphasize that enough. They're not one of my favorite, but some of my favorite characters. Like I love Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny, The Thing. Just that core four of characters. I've just always loved the idea of them, and I just can't wait to see them finally get their due in the MCU. So, should be a fun movie. I hope, especially with Matt Shackman behind the helm. That'll be really cool.
Absolutely. And with that, I don't know if you guys already talked about this while I was away, but kind of staying with Marvel stuff, X-Men '97 got a new writer.
You're right. You're right. It is a new writer. I don't know why I put showrunner, but yeah, it's a new writer.
Yeah. New writer is Matthew Chauncey, who was involved with What If, and let's see.
I have the Deadline article pulled up here. So, exclusive. Matthew Chauncey has been tapped to write season 3 of Disney Plus's X-Men '97, Marvel's animation revival of the classic '90s animated series. Sources tell Deadline. Chauncey succeeds Bo DeMaio, who parted ways with Marvel earlier this year, ahead of X-Men '97's March 20th premiere after completing work on both season 1 and 2. Chauncey will work alongside X-Men '97 director Jake Castorona, who has been on the animated follow-up from the start. Larry Houston and Eric and Julia Lewald, executive produce on the original X-Men the Animated Series, will remain as consulting producers. Season 2 of the revival, whose scripts have reportedly been revised, is in production. Season 3 is in development. X-Men '97 revisits the iconic era of the 90s as the X-Men, a band of mutants who use their uncanny gifts to protect a world that hates and fears them, are challenged like never before. Forced to face a dangerous and unexpected new future. The revival launched to critical acclaim, strong ratings, amassing 4 million views across the first 2 episodes in the first 5 days on Disney+. Season 1 also ended on a high note, with the finale drawing 3.5 million views in its first 5 days, becoming the platform's single most viewed full-length animated series finale since season 1 of Marvel's What If. That is probably fitting, since X-Men '97's new writer Chauncey comes from What If, where he has been writer-producer since season 1. He also worked on Marvel's live-action series for Disney Plus's Ms. Marvel. Chauncey is rep by WME, writ large, and Burr Abramson Levy Johnson. The voice cast, then it just kind of goes on to include the voice cast of X-Men '97. But yeah, that's the gist of it. So Matthew Chauncey is now the new writer of X-Men '97. I've seen mostly positive remarks in regards to this. So I don't really have.
He helped write What If, which personally I've enjoyed a lot of What If. So
yeah, same.
It's wasn't the best thing in the world, but I mean, you know, if they still have, you said that there were some of the original showrunners of the 90s version that are like consulting,
Correct.
right?
And they were consulted on even for the initial first 2 seasons anyway. So
yeah. So in my opinion, this isn't necessarily like, oh yes, they got this guy, but it's also like, you know, you got somebody who's worked on this stuff for a bit, like he's a seasoned writer, you know, he's someone who's done high profile projects, like he's someone that with the consulting of those people we mentioned, you know, can carry it along in a decent way, because we still have season 2, which is still written by Bo DeMaio, and then he's going to be doing this for season 3. So I mean, people like Drogue asking in the comments, is this a good thing? I think it's news.
Could be.
I think it's mostly good news. I mean, I have nothing negative really to say about the guy. He hasn't written anything that I necessarily hate or anything. So I see no real problems with this. I mean, whether or not it actually ends up being good is something we'll have to see when season 3 comes out. But judging how the first season of X-Men 97 went, I mean, I have high expectations. I mean, I feel like everyone does after seeing that, because it was fantastic.
It was
Absolutely
absolutely fantastic.
Good show. Very
Loved it.
engaging.
Did you see the where'd it go?
Yes.
They released a trailer for the Watchmen Chapter 1.
I did.
The animated.
I watched that right before we went live.
Yeah. I did see that. I have to hear more of it, but it's really hard for me to hear someone other than Jackie Earle Haley as the voice of Rorschach.
And I'm sure it's going to be good. I'm definitely going to watch it. But like, even that, like a lot of these shots that I'm watching, I'm just like, oh man, like I saw this in live action in Zach's movie and it looked so much better. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird, but you know, he's like, a comedian died today through the window. And I was like, that looked better in Zach's movie, but whatever.
What's interesting to me is that, to me, the ultimate cut of Watchmen is as close as we're ever going to get to seeing Watchmen in its full glory in live action.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, as since they're splitting it up into 2 chapters, if they're going to be able to approach more of all the stuff that's in the book. Because, of course, with live action and the limited runtime you have, even with the director's cut, you know, there's so much stuff you have to cut out from the book. But with the 2-parter, can they include more of the things that make Watchmen what Watchmen is? And that's, of course, that remains to be seen. I imagine they will go the original ending routes with the squid, or the giant squid, which of course,
that's my guess. Yeah,
because they did that with the Watchmen series on HBO Max, and obviously they're looking to be more like, specifically like the book with this. So what's great at the end of the day is that at the end of the day, I have the Watchmen book, I have Zack Snyder's version, and I'm going to have an animated version. So honestly, pick your poison with Watchmen. I'm excited.
Well,
so I mean,
I think
again, they're doing the same animation style from like What If.
that's true.
I'm not a huge fan of that style. I mean, it just, I'll still watch it, but I don't know why they see that style and go, yeah, that's the one we want to go with. Like, I don't know. I don't get it.
It's a choice.
CG, right?
Yeah, it's full 3D CG. It's not great. I don't know. I'm kind of like of 2 minds about it, because I think to Andre's point, I'm not really big on the animation style. I think it feels very slow and not in a fluid way. I think that's probably my biggest issue with the animation, is it just doesn't feel fluid. It feels kind of clunky. And when you're adapting a book like Watchmen, which is very colorful but also visceral and real, I feel like you want something more smooth with this, right? Like, I feel like you could have done almost any other kind of animated style for this. And the thing, the real shit part is like, I know Warner Brothers can do 3D animation and make it feel smooth and sleek. Like they did it with Batman Ninja. They did it with Battle for the Super Sons. And then I watched this and I'm like, this is kind of unappealing. So I like the voice cast, though. I do find it fascinating that fucking Titus Welliver, of all people, is voicing Rorschach. I think he's doing a pretty solid job here. Katie Shakoff's in this as well, too. So I think that, if anything, it has a strong voice cast. I think splitting it up into 2 parts is also a nice way of, you want to do the entire story, then split it up into 2 parts. And even to Dawson's point, I think the squid is a safe bet. But I do think there are some moments in this where it does really evoke the comic in a traditional, beautiful way. Like that part of Manhattan in Vietnam, and he's going like this, and he's blowing up the Viet Congs. It looks just as good as the film does. I'm not gonna lie, like, because honestly, this is not a knock to anyone here, but like, I feel like comparing it to the live action movie that Zach did is kind of unfair, because obviously there are two levels of expectations going on there, right?
Mhm.
Because when you see the when you see the Watchmen movie in a theater, that scene of Dr. Manhattan blowing up Viet Congs is gonna feel and look different than as opposed to, you know, watching an animated movie on your television screen where you can literally pick up the fucking book and go, huh, look at that. For me, I did the same thing with Dark Knight Returns. Like, I watched the movie and I had the book in my hand and I was like, this looks like that. I feel like I can kind of do that with the Watchmen movie that we're going to get next month, because it's August 13th is when this debuts digitally. But at the same time, like, yeah, I get it. I get that we already have, you know, the live action film, right? And we even have another motion comic that came out before the movie did.
True.
So there's already another like animated form of this story. But at the same time, if I'm WB and I'm looking at Watchmen, I'm like, you guys have made us a lot of money in the past. Let's go back to the Watchmen well, right? Like it.
Yeah.
Two minds of it. I'm of two minds of it. And at the same time, like, when you also have something as just so beautiful as the aforementioned TV show that Damon Lindelof did, the sequel series to the book, fuck, dude. Like, how do you follow up something that is just works so much better in a self-contained sense? And I think that's why the sequel series even works as well as it does, because it's just not a retread of what the book did. It's just adding to it, but bringing it to a modern context, but also doing its own thing. I think that's what the real beauty of Watchmen is that it is a story on the commentary of consequences of superheroes, but it's self-contained. But like, looking at this animated movie, ultimately I can just be like, okay, this is them just kind of bringing that story to another audience, a new generation of fans. And I can understand that. But, you know, fairly unfairly, you can look at the movie and be like, would I prefer that to this? Maybe.
Yeah.
It really just boils down to preference at this point.
I think the movie is it's a near flawless film. I think the Watchmen movie is so good,
especially the ultimate cut. My gosh, I rewatched it
visually. You know, the way it was written, dialogue. Obviously, he's taking a lot from the comic, but it was just so good. I mean, when what's his name, Owlman and
Night
Owl, sorry, and the comedians show up to the downtown area where there's having that riot, and he jumps down to take them on. That was badass. I was like, dude, this is sick.
So freaking good. My question, though, that I have in regards to this animated movie is, like, DC Animation, they just did the Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? I think they're releasing, part 2?
Part 3 comes out
Part 3
soon.
Yeah. So my question with this, if they're doing this sort of multiverse thing at the same time, is Warner Brothers going to try to do the furthering of the Watchmen story of Doomsday Clock like they did in the book?
I think it'd be in their best interest to stay as far away from Doomsday Clock as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I can agree with that, but I also would not be surprised they want to try to merge that, because like you said, Phil, they've seen Watchmen has made the money in the past, and so if they want more Watchmen, and they have a book they can run to that could connect that to DC as a whole, I wouldn't be surprised to see them at least try to do it. Whether or not they'd actually go through and animate everything and release it all is a different story, but I wouldn't be surprised if conversations about that have taken place. And I'm kind of mixed on it because I have mixed feelings about the book. A lot of writing.
I think the art is phenomenal. I think the story is a jumble-fuck mess.
So basically with that, if you end up doing the story with the art style of What If, then it kind of takes away the appeal that Gary Frank's art has with the book. But real quick, I do want to shout out Connor Dorian for the $5 super chat. I feel like we hadn't addressed that yet.
Yeah.
Here's an explosion for you. Just a quick side note saying, did you see the new trailer for the upcoming 4th and final season of The Umbrella Academy? I haven't seen any of the show, so I saw the trailer came out, didn't watch it.
I have not watched the show at all,
I
Connor. I'm really sorry.
I saw that it released. I didn't see the trailer. I've watched
my wife
a handful of episodes.
Yeah.
Final season. Oh, wow. I haven't seen any of the seasons.
It's been going on for a while. But But yeah, no, with Watchmen Chapter 1, but thanks again, Dorian. We appreciate you. Or Connor Dorian. Again, if it's Watchmen in general, I'm going to watch it, obviously, and I feel like for the most part, I'm going to enjoy it. It just depends on how polished the animation style looks in the final product, because kind of like what you guys are saying, a little clunky. I think for me, it's also a little too clean in some stills and some frames of it, which, although the Watchmen book is very colorful and bright, and the coloring work on that is just incredible, but it's also a very dirty and grimy universe.
Yes.
That's what it is. At the end of the day, like you said, Phil, it's about a world of consequences with superheroes, and there's all sorts of disgusting things going on. Like Rorschach, he's got to be filthy and grimy. You got to have this,
and even look at the character of the comedian. Like the shit he does in that book is nothing short of heinous.
Yeah.
For the most part, like the comedian is not, he's essentially a riff on Peacemaker, just through like a very grimy, gritty, R-rated lens.
Yeah.
So. And that's the thing, like Alan Moore deliberately created those characters as riffs off of charlatan comic characters.
Mhm.
Like Dr. Manhattan is clearly, a riff on Captain Atom.
Mm-hmm.
Rorschach is very obviously the Question, like, and as I said,
Night Owl being Blue Beetle, and then of course
Right.
Night Owl, the first one being the first Blue Beetle.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you've got, as I mentioned, comedian Peacemaker. And then I think
Silk Spectre?
Thank you, Silk Spectre. Holy shit! I think that is a play on Shade. God, I don't know which character she's based off of.
Ozymandias. I can't remember who he's a riff on.
Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see.
He does play chess with people, but yeah.
Yeah, I have to go back and see which specifically he pulled from.
I'm looking it up right now because it's bugging me too. Like I'm just.
But yeah, no, I'm excited to see what they do with it. Again, I hope it's more grimy animation wise at the end of the day than it is right now, which I don't see them changing too much before release. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how my curiosity is, how's the pacing going to be? How are they going to handle the pacing with all the different side stories going on with it? So that'll definitely be interesting. But we mentioned
so Ozymandias is based off of a character called Peter Cannon Thunderbolt. As you mentioned, Dan Dryberg is based off of the Night Owl. That's Night Owl 2, based off of Ted Kord version of Blue Beetle. The comedian, as I mentioned, Peacemaker, John Osterman. Charlton's Captain Atom. Okay, so I was half right. I missed half the name. Silk Spectre is based off of the superheroine Nightshade.
Nightshade, that's right.
And then, as I mentioned, Rorschach is also based off the Question.
Right,
so.
Right.
And that's just it, because I think Alan Moore wanted to do a story with the charlatan comic characters, but he couldn't, so he was just like, fuck it, I'll make up my own, and basically riff them from the characters that I want.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And real quick, to round up our series of trailers that came out this week, or I guess teasers and trailers, we also got a teaser for the highly anticipated sequel, Gladiator 2 from Ridley Scott.
Dude, this was like, I couldn't believe when I saw this. I was like, wow, holy cow.
Oh, I haven't seen the trailer. Y'all saw it? You like it?
Dude, this movie looks incredible.
Can we watch it on here, or are they going to hit us?
I mean,
I don't know.
I'm a huge Gladiator 1 fan.
I don't know.
I got that bitch on 4K.
We can try it. We can do it with the sound off. Let's try it with the sound off.
I mean, the first Gladiator movie, in my opinion, is one of the best movies of all time. I love that movie.
It's great pacing.
Yes.
Great acting. The story's awesome.
The music,
the visual effects are they stand up, or they still hold, they're still really, really good. I really dug it.
And I'm not going to lie, when they first announced they're making a sequel to this, my first thought immediately was, why make a sequel to this?
Well, they did another one that was kind of similar. What was that? That was Ben-Hur. And they tried to update that one after Gladiator, because that was a Charlton Heston movie back in the day. And they were like, well, let's fucking revise it. And it wasn't bad, but it wasn't on the level of Russell Crowe's Gladiator. I was like, oh, no. Hey.
Yeah. But I dig the cast a lot of this new Gladiator movie. I love that you have Hippolyta back. I forget the actress's name.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, she's back. And then you got all these other great actors like Pedro Pascal. You got the guy from Stranger Things.
Eddie Munster, Joseph Quinn. He's also going to be Johnny Storm, Fantastic Four. But yes.
And of course, Denzel Washington. Holy crap.
Right. And Connie Nielsen returning from the original movie.
Connie Nielsen, that's her name. Yes.
Yep.
My main curiosity, of course, is probably not going to be in the final film, and I mentioned this to you guys in our group chat.
Russell Crowe's not coming back, Dawson.
I know it's frustrating, but the thing that was weird to me is the choice of music they had in the trailer. Obviously, Phil, you point out that's more than likely not going to be in the final film. Which
I'd be shocked if it was.
Yeah, I'd be shocked. They definitely had like modern pop music in the trailer, which was odd.
Oh,
to me.
like that one Heath Ledger film. What was that? First Night.
Knight's Tale.
Knight's Tale. There you go.
Well, see that. See, a Knight's Tale. That's a different story altogether.
Yeah. But
great
it's
movie.
funny if it was the same vibe. Like,
Oh,
oh
gosh.
shit!
The,
You've been weighed. You've been wanted.
I still love the fact that they have the end guitar and "We Will Rock You" played by a bunch of trumpets at the end of the joust.
All that shit, dude, was it reminded me of Mel Brooks's Robin Hood. They're like, let's give him the chop.
Yes. Love that movie. But yeah, I mean, I mentioned before the score of the first Gladiator movie with Hans Zimmer. I mean, the song "We Are Free" just by itself is, in my opinion, one of the best movie score moments of all time. It's just a great, I listen to that all the time. And so to have a modern pop song in the trailer for the sequel is definitely a choice. Have they announced who they had do the score of the second movie?
Something
I think if you-
Gregson Williams, I think.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Because that is unfortunate that they don't have Hans Zimmer back, just because, again,
I think he might have been busy doing Dune 2 while this was getting finished.
That makes sense, and that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Let's see. Gladiator 2. I feel like they did announce a composer for this.
Yeah,
Let's see.
the modern song at towards the end of the trailer was kind of like, why are we
Harry
doing this
Gregson
for?
Williams.
What has
Harry
he
Gregson
done?
Williams. And you know what? I'm not entirely sure, but so it looks like
not
he's
familiar with
done
him.
Harry Gregson Williams. He has done films, television, video games, television, and film, including the Metal Gear series, Spy Game, Phone Booth, Man on Fire, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe, and Prince Caspian, Deja Vu, X-Men Origins Wolverine, The Martian, Ants, The Tigger Movie, Chicken Run, and its sequel, the Shrek franchise, Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas, Flushed Away,
Ooh.
Arthur Christmas, Early Man, Catch-22. He
So
is
he
the
has
older.
experience.
He is the older brother of Rupert Gregson Williams. Okay, I knew that. I had a feeling they were related, but I was not sure.
He did Wonder Woman, didn't he?
Rupert Gregson Williams did Aquaman and Wonder Woman, if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
So,
if he
I
did-
mean,
Believe it or not.
well, the fact that he did
Believe-
Sinbad, like Sinbad, is underrated. I mean, that the music in that's really great.
Yeah.
And you freaking had to.
No, that's not the same guy.
But no. All
All right,
right.
there we go. Just
Segue
get that out.
privileges. But also, I mean, you say cringingly, X-Men Origins Wolverine. I think one of the things that does work in that movie is the music for it. So I mean, that's a plus for me. But
I don't remember it.
yeah, I mean,
I don't remember.
it's not Hans Zimmer, but like Andre said, the guy clearly has experience and he's been a part of some
Dude,
solid films.
The Hans Zimmer score in Gladiator is epic. Like it's one of the best I've ever heard. In fact,
I watched Gladiator last night to go to bed, and because it's on Paramount Plus, and you have to go through a series of ads before you watch the movie. The very last ad I had was a small clip from Gladiator 2, and I was like, "Fuck yes, this is amazing."
I almost feel like they did the modern song is because they were trying to appeal to a wider audience, maybe even a younger audience. Like, hey, this is cool, come and see it.
Oh,
I don't know,
come
but
see Gladiator 2, no cap.
no cap, all kinds of fighting. Look, this guy, he
It's
was
just
like
drippy.
a prince in the last movie. Now
Ryan.
he's a slave.
Ryan, do me a favor and never say the words "no cap" ever again.
No cap, on God,
Oh God, yeah.
Gosh, freaking newer generation.
But to me, the most epic scene. Well, there's a lot of epic scenes in Gladiator Part 1, but
Yeah.
the scene I love the most is when it's his first battle in like the main arena in Rome, and they have to go against the
What's your name?
the ladies on the chariots.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a badass scene. But the scene that to this day still gives me chills is when they're fighting the chariots. At one point, Maximus is on a horse, and then Jaimon Hansu picks up the sword, and he goes, Maximus! He throws the sword up, and he catches it. It's like, this is bad. I remember in the theater, I was like, this is fucking badass.
I love that movie so much.
Yeah, I was like, God, this is incredible. I mean, I like if you look at the scale of that film and the things that they were doing, like you hadn't seen that done in like the modern era, and like I don't even know how long.
I mean, they had an epic battle at the beginning of the movie, where it was like the Slavs, I guess, or versus the Roman Empire, and then you've got
against Germania.
Yeah. And then it went to Gladiator in the small arena and shit like that, and then he worked his way up the fucking the chain and
badass
tigers and shit.
And
then the hand-to-hand combat with the Joker at the end.
and he was already stabbed. He was
Well, what's interesting to me, I'm curious to see with this movie, because obviously a big driving point of the first Gladiator movie was the revenge aspect of it. Maximus trying to get his revenge for what happened to Marcus Aurelius, and also what happened to him and his family. And so obviously in the trailer, we see this new Gladiator. He obviously idolizes Maximus. He saw him when he was younger. It showed a little clip of that. So like, is his driving force simply to be like Maximus? Does he have a personal vendetta?
How does he get in that situation where he has to kind of fight in the arenas?
I think they did hint that Pedro Pascal's general character had in some way screwed him over. And so like, there'll be the personal vendetta there, and whether or not that's him like giving him a command or something, or maybe he fought him in battle and maybe he killed a bunch of his friends or something like that. I'm interested to see what the personal conflict is.
It's pretty clear if you pay close enough to the trailer. Like it is.
Yeah, dumbass.
Pay
that's right, because
it's a little mirror of the first film, but more or less what happened, from what I can gather, is Pascal's lieutenant general, whatever, like invades his town that he lives in and pretty much slaughters everyone, and then Lucius is forced into slavery, and as a result he chooses to become a gladiator. And there's even a line of dialogue like Denzel Washington asked him, like, what would it take to quell your rage? And Mascal's Lucius goes, the entire Roman army. And Denzel goes, oh, that's good, too much but good. And then Mascal goes, the lieutenant will do.
Yeah, and I think they may have referenced maybe him having a girlfriend or wife that got killed and that's slaughtered too. So, I guess not necessarily what is the conflict going to be, but will it hit as hard as Maximus?
Well, isn't his mother?
It's
Hippolyta.
Her name? Queen Hippolyta. God damn it! What's her real name?
It's
Connie Nielsen.
Connie Nielsen.
Yeah,
Gwyneth Paltrow. That's not it.
Lucilla.
Like that's not it.
It's Lucilla.
Yeah,
but isn't that his mother?
Yes.
And she's in this fucking movie too. So like, if his town got fucking slaughtered, did they just take her as like a prize? Like, yeah, you're coming with us, lady. Let's go.
Denzel's like, I happen to have a chance cube.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I'm really.
Why are you waving around your hand like that? What do you think you are, a Jedi?
My tricks don't work on me.
Only money.
Only money.
But again, I'm
Great
really curious to
writing.
see if that personal conflict will hit us hard. Will they write it in a way to where it's like you feel for him like you felt for Maximus? I mean, it's really hard. Obviously, I'm not going to set the expectation that they have to beat this, but it's really hard to kind of beat the scene where Maximus finds his wife and son, and as you know, is like crying at their feet. Like, it's hard to measure up to that. So obviously, can't do that exact thing. But will it hit hard like that? That's yet to be seen.
I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be fun. I mean, it's not often that Ridley Scott makes a movie that I don't like. I mean, I was even a fan of Prometheus and Covenant. I thought that was I thought they were really cool films, but I can see why everyone was like, "Fuck this." But everything he's done, I've been a huge fan of. So this looks like it's gonna hit a lot of the areas that it's gonna be entertaining. It's gonna have action. Yeah. The story, I mean, look, when it comes to the original Gladiator story, I mean, in all fairness, it was a pretty simple story. There wasn't really much to it, and they made that as epic as they possibly could. I mean, when he wins that first major battle, and then Caesar comes down there to meet him. What's up, Antonio? Go Niners. And he was like, "Take your mask off," and he turns around. "How dare you show your back to me?" And then he takes his helmet
That
off. And
whole
tells him who he is. It was like, woo! It was so badass. I was
That
like,
speech that he gives to the Emperor was my ringtone for the longest time.
oh my god, he was and then even later on they have another one like that, and you know the what's Caesar? What's the guy's name?
Which
Joaquin
guy?
Phoenix's character.
Oh yes,
Commodus.
Caesar. Yeah.
Commodus, yeah, he goes, they say your wife moaned like a whore, you know, and then he turns around and he talks to him again in epic fashion, and oh god, dude, that movie's it's just so good. And not to mention the guy who was in charge of all of those slaves, he died partway into that production, and so they had to use like video clips of him and green screen him, you know, to finish that movie off because he died. And they
I
were
didn't
like,
realize that.
You didn't know? Yeah. What was his name? God damn it. The guy who was in charge of all the slaves. You know, the guy who was
Is the guy that told Maximus I was the best because the crowd loved me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait, no.
So-
I do remember that actually. Okay, it's
yeah.
come
He
back.
died, and then so the last times you see him, it's repurposed footage just to kind of make the story work.
Interesting. That's very, very interesting.
That's why at the end you see behind him as he's standing there, and then the guys go over and they start stabbing him, but
Yeah.
you don't ever see his face because it was a stand-in. But still, it's that's one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life.
It's so dang good. But yeah, Gladiator 2. I'm anxious
Electric
for.
Boogaloo.
I was no. I was
Well,
very skeptical when I first heard about it, but with this trailer now, it's okay. Yeah, I can be on board
But
with
still,
this.
Gladiator was a film that not only had great acting, that had great writing, it had a great director, it had a great composer for the score, and it was violent. Like when people died, they fucking died a shitty way every time. You know, and you were just like, holy cow, this is. I would hate to be them. You know, it's like God. Can you
Yeah.
imagine?
The only other action or only other movie that I've seen with that same kind of level of like not over the top but like brutal deaths and stuff was Troy. Troy's probably on the same level with that of how
No,
No, it wasn't really brutal.
Gladiators up there.
Rambo Last Blood was like that kind of gore, you know?
well, I'm not saying like super over the top gory, but like
Yeah.
effective like
Oh, okay,
violence.
Like Troy was a good story. It
It
was,
was
cool.
good. It's a good
Yeah.
movie, but I mean, obviously,
I
I
do
think
like Troy.
Gladiator's like levels above Troy. You know,
I still love
Gladiator.
I still have the quote from Achilles where it's like he's like 10 times your size. I wouldn't want to fight him, and that's why no one will remember your name. It's like
Yeah.
oof, oof.
Like there was a scene where he has his fight where there's like fucking 4 dudes waiting for him in a line, and he kills each one of them. It was just like, this guy's fucking badass. And then not only that, but like
Why didn't we attack at once? At once? Yes. No. That'd be foolish.
no, one
That's
at a
enough
time.
time.
Yeah, it's like a
not good
buffet.
sport.
It's
It's
like a
not good
buffet. But then,
You go and then you go and then I'll go.
well, if they all came at him, what the fuck's he gonna do? Take on 4 dudes? Like, oh shit.
Batman did it.
Oh god. But no, there was just so many epic scenes.
Try to gauge 600.
When he throws the sword up there, and he's like, "Are you entertained?" You know, that was just like, holy fuck, you know. And then when he takes on Titus, the guy that they brought out of retirement to defeat him, and he fucking beats the guy. He stabs him in the foot. Ah! It was
and they
dude.
tried to fucking punk him with some tigers. They were
He
like,
had one on his
not
back.
only
He
is
was
he
like,
enough, yeah,
he's like, oh shit.
that was cool.
And it's the tigers are being held back by like 3 skinny dudes. Like, ah.
I like how when everything was over, the tigers were just kind of chilling. They were just laying down like, "Fuck, I don't know."
You're like, oh, I guess scene's over. Scene's over. Scene's over.
Scene's over.
I'm too tired. It's hot.
But with that, just kind of make sure we get the last things talked
Hold
through.
on, hold on,
There's
hold
2
on,
more
hold
topics.
on.
Oh,
Hold
what's
on.
going
on,
on?
Phil?
I'm pulling up a Gladiator 2 trailer. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know we were doing that. Oh.
These guys wanted to have a
Way to
full
exaggerate
conversation
that,
about the
Ryan.
first movie, but it's like, can we watch the trailer for the second one? That'd be nice.
All right, let's bring that in here and take away this banner.
Also muting the sound real quick. That way we don't hopefully get with a copyright. But yeah,
I love the costume design here.
Everything
it's
looks
impeccable.
spectacular.
it looks Very much in line with the first movie.
And the fact they have like a shrine to Maximus.
Look at that. Boom.
Using stock footage of the first film, too.
Yeah.
That's one of those member.
Yeah. In case you forgot.
Yeah, remember this and this.
Last time.
So
on
that's his
Gladiator.
village?
Yeah.
I like that line. You will be my instrument.
Yeah.
Man,
So
this looks spot on.
So obviously there's like higher goals for the gladiators here as far as like actually like taking down the Roman Empire and using like the water
That's
mechanisms of the arena. is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what they didn't do in the first one. That's really cool.
Right. Visceral, bloody gore. I love it. And even just the sadisticness of the two emperors is just fucking beautiful.
awesome. And how like prepped up they are and like the makeup they have on their face
Yep.
is really interesting.
Yeah, this movie is going to be something special.
Pedro
I think.
Pascal's like, hello, I am from Dorne.
You're
I'm
into
Dornish.
slaves, into gladiators, then gladiators into free men. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of really solid moments in this trailer. I cannot wait. This movie looks impeccable.
Yeah, so that shot there, he clearly had feelings
Yeah.
for that girl there.
That rage is your gift. Okay, this is probably the best shit in the fucking trailer. Going up against a goddamn rhino.
And it ends up having like a bunch of blood on its horn. Like,
Look at the dude on top. He's like ready to fuck some shit up too. It's like,
Oh,
okay,
man.
that guy knows what he's doing.
They were like tigers? No, rhino.
Right now.
I need to see what happened to the guy whose blood that is on that rhino.
Yeah.
Holy
It just
crap.
reminds me
Oh,
of
I
the-
know. He fucked
reminds me of
somebody up.
episode
Whose head could I
2.
give you to satisfy this fury? The Roman Ares.
Too much. I do love the response.
Oh man, this is great. The general will do. Oh my god. This
I'm just excited to see the Colosseum again.
So good, right?
I mean, and this took them a while to put this together too, because they had multiple meetings over the years about how to
Yeah.
tackle this, and now it actually has come to fruition. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't until I believe Daniel Scarpa came on to script it. Okay, so it's a funny thing, like when she hands him Maximus's ring, I can tell that there has been edits, and I feel like there is bits and pieces missing from that conversation.
Mm.
Because I feel like that's where Lucilla is going to reveal to him that he is in fact Maximus's secret child.
Interesting.
Because that is
Probably.
something
That
is
would
something
make more
Ridley,
sense.
That's something Ridley Scott has like been on record saying, like he wants to reveal that Lucius is the secret child of Lucilla and Maximus.
Yeah, because Lucilla and Maximus always had a very close and
Right.
you know. Look at this shit.
Dude,
like,
that
yo-
fight's gonna be so fucking brutal. Oh my god, I can't wait.
Fucking Mando.
I cannot fucking
Oh.
wait. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
he just
man.
Count Dooku'd him.
Q here says Pascal.
Yeah, but that wasn't Pascal character. That was the other guy. That was the guy on the rhino.
Right, right. Gosh,
Yeah.
I'm excited for that
The
scene.
guy on
This
the
movie's
rhino.
gonna fuck, and this movie's gonna fuck hard. It's gonna be amazing.
I mean, but here's the thing though, is that even if like story wise it's not very strong, I mean look at films like Transformers. The story in that always sucked ass, but the action scenes were so fucking good that you were just like, I guess that was worth it, you know?
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If the story can be so baseline as dude has his whole city ravaged and wants revenge, that's fine. But if the actors bring out a fucking stellar performance, this is Ridley Scott, by the way, you've got a spectacular cast like in Denzel Washington, Connie Nielsen, Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, Joseph Quinn. Like, I'm sorry, but there's no rhyme or reason why this movie can effectively suck. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because
It's not
and
gonna
also
suck.
like between this and Beetlejuice, I'm like, okay, which one of you is going to be the next Top Gun Maverick? I'm almost tempted to say it's going to be Gladiator 2.
Yeah, I don't
What
know.
did I
mean,
say? Oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah, what are you trying to clip?
These
Maybe you should
guys
just
are the
clip it.
worst. Like in my group
If you
chat,
guys
they
want to clip something, fucking clip it. Like nothing's stopping you.
they've turned
Screen
me into
record.
fucking Joe Biden and Donald Trump and all that's what they constantly do. I'm like, oh my
Andre's always
God.
rattling off. He's like, I don't like the Gladiator. No,
Don't lie, they're on your payroll.
Commodore.
Asylumnists.
They might be
All
on this
the
payroll,
Vipers.
Anyway.
It's like, where's Andre going?
Oh my gosh. Anyway. No, I'm very, very excited for this. I'm excited to see
We're
what
a
we've got.
non-political show. We're just
Yeah,
having
we are.
some
We
fun
don't
with
care.
that.
Yeah, yeah. But,
But back to Gladiator 2.
Yes. But kind of like what Phil said, like I feel like there'd be a lot of things that would have to go incredibly wrong for this movie to be underwhelming.
Especially if all the best scenes were in the trailer. Like back in the
Even
day,
if
that's
that
what
were
they
the
would.
case, it'd still be
Which
entertaining.
I doubt.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more to this film, and
It's gonna be visually stunning, and that, like you said,
Yeah.
with the Transformers movies, it's gonna transport you out of, which is what people want, dude. They want, just like this, Dune and all that. They want to be taken to another place,
dude,
for a couple hours.
I'm
And
telling
not
you,
worry
man.
about stupid shit and just have fun somewhere else.
Like, say what you want about Michael Bay, but his third acts in all of his Transformer films are badass. You're just like, wow, this is super cool. Everything else, but these action scenes, badass. You know what I mean? It's just like, wow,
Yeah,
it's incredible. Even the first Transformers, I was watching the first Transformers the other day. I was like, and that was, to me, that's the best out of all of them. Is the first one. That's the only one that like took itself half seriously. And like when they got to the end, it was like, you had fighter jets shooting Megatron, you had soldiers shooting Megatron, the Autobots. It was just like, it was cool. I was like, man, this is fucking bad.
Yeah, and
But anyway.
awesome. No, we're very, very excited about that. I want to make sure we get to our last couple topics really quick. First and foremost, we had, of course, I'm not up to date on this at all, but I assume some of you guys are. We had the latest episode of The Boys came out this past week.
I think it's
Haven't
just
seen
Andre
it.
and I. I think it's just Andre and I.
Haven't seen it.
Oh,
Issue
Ryan,
2?
you haven't seen it, Ryan? The one that
Okay.
came out not tonight, but like last week.
Was that with what happened at the end of the show?
Tech Knight. Tech Knight was a major character. in this.
And he was in the green Spider-Man suit. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay,
I
look.
have seen that one.
I hand it over to you guys since I haven't
Tech
seen
Knight.
any.
Okay, so they really leaned heavily on the whole Tech Knight is like their version of Batman.
Yeah.
And I
With
loved how
shades of Iron
Homelander
Man,
was like, yeah. I love how Homelander was like, you're nothing to me. You can't even fucking fly. And he was like, yeah, we should collab sometime. He's like,
it's like Eric Kripke went, nerd, world's finest. You fucking wish.
he totally shot it down.
That's kind of what he did, right? He totally shot down any idea of there ever being any kind of team up between the two of them just by Homelander being like, you were fucking beneath me, and I will never ever team up with you in a million years. Basically, like just it's like if Superman looked at Batman and went, "Bitch, please." That's,
But I have a battering. Get the fuck out of here.
I love how he said all that. He was like, you can't even fucking fly.
right? Like the dismissive nature in his performance
Yeah,
was
he's
just
just
so
like, "God,
fucking
shut
on
up, go
point.
away."
Or even like later on in the episode when like right after Sister Sage gets shot in the head and she comes back and she's like, I ate a whole box of whatever the fuck, and he's just looking at her like, what? Just because he has no fucking clue what happened. Oh man,
that was so good because like right when she came back, I was watching it and I was like, oh shit, she's gonna be hella dumb. And then all of a sudden she's like, I just ate a hole. He's staring at her. He's like, what's wrong with you? And he's staring at the bullet hole in her head and he was like, the fuck? And likely he's probably looking into her brain and seeing it like doing whatever. And he's like, oh shit. That's why he was like, don't say anything. Don't. Just stay here.
And then, lucky enough for him, Newman comes in with the save.
He
and
was
completely
fucked.
Saved his ass.
He was like,
I liked
that
how
was
he was
great.
sort of stammering and he didn't really know what to say, and he was like losing their interest.
Oh
and shit.
yeah. Oh yeah.
That was great.
if that would have kept
they
going,
had
he
an
was going to laser
opportunity.
everyone in that room.
Oh sure, yeah,
for sure.
he would have been
I'm outta here.
insulted, and he would have just fuck it. I don't care. But I thought they had an opportunity for a little bit more tension for A-Train when he left and came back. It was like, I don't even know where A-Train went or came, or where he is, and he just kind of like returned, right? And I was like, damn it. I wanted there to be a little bit more tension there.
At the same time,
Because you didn't have Sister Sage there to out him. So, and I'm sure that fucking, Homelander could visually see that he wasn't there. So I don't know. I just thought
but
they
he
had-
was
they could have
there
done more.
longer than everybody else was because A-Train came up after they found Tech Knight's, Batcave or what's it called? Tech
Ass
Cave. And that alone, okay, so
the butler fucking finished him off.
So it's like he's like, you want to see the Tech Cave? He's like, yeah. And they go, and then as soon as they get down there, I was like, of course, there isn't any computers or whatever. It's just it's a dungeon. Like, god damn it, what the fuck? And it's just, it got so gross. so quickly. It was like, oh my god. And he had the other guy. He was like, "Who's that?" He goes, "No, that's my former sidekick."
What? That's the previous Robin.
Yeah, I was like,
I mean, more or less, it is that Robin. They call them Ladio. Ladio. That was his name.
Ladio. Yeah,
I thought Stars.
Ladio, get help.
Am I the only one who thought of Pulp Fiction after seeing that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
what's funny is that his name was, they called him Ladio, but like he had a red.
He had a red suit on. Yeah.
a red suit on. So to me, it's still kind of lent towards like Robin,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He breaks out of
Okay,
it.
and also, like-
Ladio, run for help. Instead, he's like, computer, look.
If if this show is great at one thing, it's definitely just taking taking established characters like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, whatever, and then doing something so out of the box and so opposite with all these characters, like making their own versions of these characters, but making them absolute despicable pieces of shit. Like Web
All
Weaver,
of
for
them.
example. Like, okay, Web Weaver, whoever's behind the mask, whatever the guy's name is, complete and total opposite of Peter Parker. He's
Yeah.
a complete fucking junkie. The spider web comes out of his asshole.
Yeah.
Like all of it was just the complete, all the jokes you could think about
I was the
Spider-Man.
only one that cringed when he stuck it in the wrong hole.
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
he's like,
"Oh."
oh, that's
It
my
made
web
a
hole.
sound. It made
Yeah.
a sound.
that was
like,
kind of
"Oh."
weird, but like and then you get to like what is his name, Robert Vernon, whatever the fuck, whoever's Tech Knight. Bruce Wayne is this billionaire philanthropist. Him and Tony Stark, they ideally want to help people out. This guy's all like, talking to A-Train like, my granddaddy would have had a field day with you.
Oh,
I
I
thought
know.
that was
Oh my God.
way too much.
Way over
I
the
was
top.
like, damn. I was like, really? You're gonna
And then
die.
you couple that with like he owns prisons. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck. This guy is literally the polar opposite of Bruce Wayne and Tony
He
Stark.
owns the prisons, yeah, and they were like,
Right.
yeah, you fill them up. He was like, yeah, I fill them up, I rehabilitate them, and then I put them right back in there again.
Yeah. He literally leans into the idea of everyone criticizing Batman for it. It's like, you literally create the villains, you put them in prison, then they break out, and then you fucking take them in again. Batman's like, that's just how it is. They're fucking crazy. Whereas this guy's like, oh, I know it's my fault, and I'm fucking proud of it.
Yeah,
It's
like,
so-
guess what? I own the prison, so I'm making money off of that. It's like
Exactly, right.
Oh,
It's such a perverted twist on characters I love, but at the same time, I'm like, this is genius. This
Well,
is
and
so
then Firecracker with her milk, and just his face. It was shock, and it was like
He was like-
it's just like nim, nim, nim.
He's like, that actually tastes pretty good. I think I just found my new mother's milk.
when she did that, when she was like taking her top off, and I'm like, is she gonna show him like some kind of like tattoo or something of him? And she squirts him in the face. I was like, oh no, what have you done? And then the next scene, she's holding him like a baby.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Good
It's like him
boy,
and
good.
Stillwell. It's
Yeah,
just
I was
like
like,
Stillwell, dude. It was just like,
no.
oh,
Yeah, well,
this
she was trying to, like, because I mean, there's been that like, sort of paradigm where Sister Sage and her have been kind of going at it, like
yeah.
Sister Stage doesn't fucking respect her, and she she
Oh,
obviously
absolutely not,
Homelander
yeah.
doesn't give two fucks about her, so she kind of made herself.
he doesn't really give two fucks about either one of them.
Oh yeah,
Well, but here's the thing, though, is that now you've taken the same character from with Elizabeth Shue's character, and you've broken her into two separate pieces, into Sister Sage and a Firecracker. So now it's like he has her, but they're two separate people. He has the one that wants to nurture him and fucking basically just adore him, because she's all about him. And then you got the Sister Sage part, who's the intelligence behind everything. But he knows now. I think he knows now that she has a weakness, Sister Sage, that if she gets hit in the head, she turns dumb for a while. And he's gonna be like, because he was like, "The hell's wrong with you?" it was just crazy. It was a crazy episode.
Yeah, it was nuts, to put it lightly. That episode was fucking insane.
That would have been a perfect time for
walk
Soldier
in.
Boy to walk in while Homelander was doing that. It's that ending was crazy. And then again, like I thought it was done pretty well, but when you find out that Jeffrey D. Morgan's character is in his head,
in his
but
mind, yeah.
you kind of already knew that. You can kind of tell, but it wasn't confirmed. And the moment he goes, "Shut the hell up," then you're like, "Wait a minute, what?" You're like, wait. He goes, you could see her. It was like, uh-oh.
It
You
is
don't even get-
literally like the perfect embodiment of angel and devil on one side of the
Yeah.
shoulder. It's so good. It's so fucking good. Like,
But he admits who he is now. That he
Yeah.
he
Oh,
is
yeah.
like the symbiote. You know what I mean? He's like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think that's cool
Daddy's
because
home.
Yeah, daddy's home. Well, but that's the thing is that like you've taken the idea of Venom and you've made it into something your own, and I think that's really cool. I like what it's turning into, and I'm wondering if it's going to end up killing him or if he's going to end up somehow getting it out of his body. I'm not sure.
Like finding
But
another host.
But the doctor even said, he was like, it doesn't work. Like it leads to I forgot how he described what the symbiote is. But he says that, you know, it leads to something else entirely because they probably saw it in the animals. I mean, you saw the one like, come out of the fucking rabbit's stomach, you know, so they probably saw that like, oh shit. So they knew it was bad.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking insane. And it's gonna get more insane.
It
2
is.
episodes left, and there's one debuting tonight. I'm probably not gonna stay up and watch it, but
And then Huey's there, and he's like, she's like fucking tickling his feet and shit. He's like, they're like, what's wrong? Is that a safe word? No, I don't want to say that yet. When I get really excited, I just yell random words.
I'm sorry, but it like time wise, when fucking Tech Knight found out who he was and like, you know, was gonna go like inflict hurt on him, and then they cut to like, you know, everyone else, and with Starlight and all them up there and messing with Sister Sage. I was like, a lot of time has passed. If I were Tech Knight, I would have already done what I was gonna do with him and whatever, you know, like. But it was just like, okay,
He's like,
time stop downstairs.
Oh, it was brutal. And then, but even afterwards, like after Newman saved Homelander, you know, you saw him with that look on his face where he felt like he was not in control anymore. And I think that, you know, he didn't want Newman to be the face and the voice of all this. You know, he was supposed to be Sister Sage, but he looks over at Sister Sage and she's fucking eating a cake. Like, you know, he's like, what the fuck is going on? And again, he's feeling that feeling of just he's losing control again. Like he doesn't have control of what's going on, and it's freaking him out. And we got to see Ryan again. You know, that was cool. How many more episodes are there? There's 8, right? So there's 2 more.
There's two more left after.
We're gonna have to see more Ryan, I would imagine. But yeah, no, I don't know what they're gonna do. And plus, the doctor was like, I can't make more.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen by the end of this season, but I would not be surprised if this season ended on a fucking massive cliffhanger that leads into season 5.
Oh, I absolutely think so.
I wouldn't be shocked.
When it's funny because like you see the change in Homelander when he's talking to Firecracker and she's like, you know, Starlight was there. I saw her. I tried to follow her, but I lost her. You believe she got beat up and got the fucking shot in her neck. And he's like, oh, and he's like, so you're the one who let her get away. You know, you were just like, oh fuck. Yeah. At that point, it was almost like he was gonna kill her. You know what I mean? Like, sure. And then she had to show her, you know, the breast milk, and he's just like, oh.
Like, oh, you do have a purpose after all, booby milk.
Oh man,
oh,
that was
God.
Audrey's favorite scene. Booby milk.
And no, and Sean called it weeks ago. He was like, I don't think that's a real character. I think it's all in Butcher's head. And then Ryan and I were like, oh yeah, I think you're right. That was episode 3.
That was
I think it was
2 or 3 episodes ago.
Yeah,
he's been knowing for a while.
Yeah, he's been. But
no,
that was crazy. And then. And then to show all the scenes where he's like, all right, mate. He goes to pour him a shot. It's like pouring it on the table.
yeah. And that was so indicative of fucking Fight Club.
Yes,
it's very much Fight Club. Yes.
Yeah, but not done in a way where it was like ripping off of it. It was just done,
it was humorous. It was very funny.
Even the fact they took the time to show all that. To show all the flashbacks, I loved it. I mean, so far, I fucking love this show. And I think the writing in this show is what's really good. It's very clever. And they find ways to integrate characters, and then you learn enough about them where if they die or they get beat up, you kind of feel something for each character. But it's a crazy show. But I love it.
You talk about the writing. What's hilarious is that, again, I haven't seen the show, but the comic it's based on is notoriously known for being an awfully written book.
Awful in the sense of like it's gratuitous and fucking just gnarly and raunchy. Yes.
Well, and also the story is just a ridiculous mess.
That too. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't read too much.
I still
of the
think
boys,
Soldier
but I
Boy's
know
coming
of it.
back. Soldier Boy's gonna come back in next season. He has to.
Well, Jared Padalecki might
Superman
show up
out
next
on
season too. So.
It's a great show, dude. It's
I'm enjoying. You know, I thought that like this season, okay, it's got to fucking trail off. You know, it's not going to be as good as the other seasons, but I'm pleasantly surprised that it's actually still engaging, and you know, it's still fun to watch, and still like, you know, also fun to talk about.
Well, let's put it this way: if Dawson hasn't watched it yet and felt like the first couple episodes were a little too much, if you made it to this episode, this would have been where you stopped.
I've seen clips
this would have been it. You'd have been like,
I've seen clips
he's like
you guys
breast
describe.
milk.
I've seen some of the scenes you guys described, like clips of them, and I'm just like, what the hell?
as soon as Tech Knight took him down there, Dawson would be like,
Dawson would be like, I'm out.
I'm out.
He's like, that's too close to home.
Oh.
No, I'm joking.
Tech, and of course, in the boys' fashion, they turned Tech Knight into just a fucking weird guy with all kinds of weird fetishes, and I'm so weird.
Yeah, it was something about peeing on somebody. Or
Remember, he was like, sit on the cake. He's like,
sit on the cake.
Fart.
Yeah.
I want you to fart. Like, he's like,
Yeah.
God, that's so fucking sexy. He's all grabbing himself. I was like, oh my God, what is happening right now? And then the red guy, what was his name? Lottie boy, or what was it called?
Ladio.
He was singing,
And he totally just fucks Tech Knight at the end by giving him the password to the computer. No fucks given.
And that was great too, because they were like, how do you torture
A rich man. By
a
taking
masochist or whatever?
Oh yeah, how do you, right. Yeah.
Every time they stab me, he'd be like, "Oh, I feel so good." And they're like, "What do you do?" Yeah, his money.
Oh, let's just give his money away. And then the one that gets him the most is, let's donate this portion to Black Lives Matter. And he's like, no! Oh my God, that was fucking hilarious.
It was like 100 million to Black Lives Matter. Don't you do that? Not them. I was like, oh my God.
That was fucking hilarious.
Oh
my
of course
God.
it was that one. You know what I mean?
Right, because they already made it a point that Tech Knight's a pretty racist piece of shit in the
Yeah.
beginning of the episode. So it's like,
Black Lives Matter.
oh man.
And then his fucking butler is black.
Right.
And they're
Man.
They're like,
Do you have any idea how
was
much
his-
cum
what was
I've had to
his,
clean up
uh,
after this match?
What was the password? Because he told them the password.
Zendaya.
Or the safe word. Zendaya. That's right.
Zendaya.
Zendaya.
When I heard
He's like,
that,
it's something that you love.
I just fucking lost it. I was like,
Zendaya.
if she watches this episode, she's either gonna laugh, or she's gonna be really pissed.
But he's like, what's your safe word? He's like, oh, I saved that for when I really need to make someone stop doing something. And he was like, come on, say it. Say it. You love it. You know, he's like, what do you say? So, lube? Who are you? He pulls the mask off. But no, it's funny because he's like, Tech Knight's like, my family made their money off of slave trading and or whatever. It was like, oh God. And then his butler is black, and it's like, oh yeah, he's like what Phil was saying. He was like, you know how many messes I've had to clean up.
Oh my God.
It was over the top. And who even knows if he actually killed him? We don't know. We assume that he did, because later on, Firecracker's like, Tech Knight's dead. Anyway, watch The Boys episode 6.
Yeah,
It was pretty good. Episode 7 drops tonight at midnight Pacific time, 2 a.m. Eastern time. But yeah, it was definitely really good.
Oh man. Well, with that, that's great conversation for you guys. What's up, Lucas? How's it going? Indeed, this is me. I guess to close things out, we're already a little bit over. We'll kind of keep this pretty brief. We'll try to.
Yeah.
But latest episode of
The Acolyte.
The Acolyte came out
Oh,
this week. Take that away. Take that away. So I actually watched it this morning.
Oh,
And I'll kind of give my brief thoughts on it. So building up to this episode, they've talked about this. They've presented this whole mystery of what actually happened on. Is it Brandok? Is that the name of the planet?
Brandok, yeah.
Brandok. Like what actually happened with the Coven of Witches? What actually happened? Because like May is like telling Osha like, oh, they brainwashed you. Like that isn't actually what happened. And so they painted this whole idea of like, oh, well, there's this whole giant conspiracy of what happened. And so this episode, it's seeing episode 3 from an alternative perspective, seeing it from the Jedi side of things, as well as just seeing what all went down that Osha and May were not privy to, mostly Osha. And again, they built it up like this big old mystery. And I'm not going to lie, the answer we were given about what exactly happened was, to me, kind of underwhelming. I felt like, Soul kept making it seem like he did something incredibly terrible, which he let his emotions get the best of him. But at the same time, like, I feel like he acted in a way that any regular person would, or any person in a situation would, especially in the situation where you have the Mother Witch was like disintegrating herself along with May, and Soul's whole purpose in this episode is like trying to protect the twins because he feels a strong connection to Osha, and he's letting his emotions get the best of him. And then the witch mother is like, again, disintegrating herself and May. So Soul's like, what the heck are you doing? And so he stabs the Mother Witch. And so I feel like the show wanted it to hit more to where it made us feel like, oh, this Jedi did a bad thing. But at the same time, it's like, he doesn't really know what she's doing to her daughter. And he already feels like they're unsafe anyway. And so it just didn't hit as hard as I think some of the writers intended it to be. I felt like some of the action was okay. We finally saw the Jedi Wookiee do something while he's being brainwashed by the witches, which, I'm just glad we saw some action from him because we were expecting to see that. And then he was killed off screen, which is a little frustrating, but we saw a little bit of that this episode, which is nice.
well, he also had that thing. He, was looking for coins on the floor, and they used him for that. And then he was fixing the speeder bike in another episode.
that looked cool.
Yeah, so like they had minimal usage of him, so they actually had him do something here, which the metal detector thing was kind of odd. Like it's just a straight up metal detector they're using on the ground. I'm not really sure. Like I know they're trying to find a vergence in the Force, which is something that's referencing episode 1 where Qui-Gon mentions there's a vergence in the Force in Anakin Skywalker.
But the Vergence has been referenced a few times throughout Star Wars. This is not a new thing. Yeah.
Right. So they're like looking for that, and it's like I heard someone kind of compare it to the Jedi acting like people on in a Star Trek episode where they're gathering samples of a planet, which, okay.
Yeah.
It kind of made sense. Like, oh, this planet like had life all of a sudden. So they're looking for the reason why. Okay. Makes sense. However, one thing that was kind of weird to me is that they're like, oh, this planet went through like a hyperspace disaster. And so all life was wiped out. But then there was this structure that the witches found that was a mine. And they're like, oh, it used to be an old mine. It's like, okay. I don't know. That was like, why would that be there if life hasn't been here for a while? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of a weird thing. But I'm glad we got to see more of Trinity in this episode finally. Got to see her actually do something. And I liked the fact that for the most part, she was the voice of reason Jedi. Like, she was clearly the senior Jedi Master on this mission.
Yeah.
And I like to see her kind of in that role. One thing that did bug me was the Jedi Torben. Like, his main thing is that he just wants to go home. And that ends up being a big deal. And, like, that causes a lot of the stuff that happens. And it's like, I don't know. It seemed like kind of a slightly weak reasoning to give for part of the mission kind of going to hell, because he's just, I just want to go home. I want to go to Coruscant. It's like, okay.
I would I hear you. I would honestly just chalk that up to a Padawan being stubborn and, just bored. That's honestly what you could chalk it up to. But I see your point.
Sure, you can definitely chalk it up to that, but it's just at the same time though, like all this being kind of started because of that,
right?
Okay, and then the entire time I was watching the episode, I kept thinking of him and
it's that, and then it's like it gets further influenced by Soul's emotional attachment to Osha too. Like that definitely had another part to play in it as well. I feel like a lot of what drove the events of what happened from the Jedi's perspective, obviously, is due in part to Torben's reluctance to just, get this done as fast as possible and want to proceed with his training and finish what he wants to do. Just kind of really just focus on what he wants to do. And then you've also got Soul, who is, while he's still, in his prime and younger, he wants a fucking Padawan, and that much is abundantly clear. So yeah, I do feel like their actions really are the main cause of, this whole fiasco to begin with, which, honestly, I feel like the episode kind of does that. The thing that kind of bothered me about it overall, the episode, is like it's another flashback episode, but it's a flashback where you don't get any kind of VO or perspective from Soul to May in regards to, like, there's no like intertwining between the current day and like what we're witnessing. Like I feel like if there's a criticism from me, it's probably that just this here we are with another flashback episode. I'm like, okay.
And also the entire time I saw Torben in this episode, I couldn't help but remember the terrible fake beard that he had in the first couple episodes. But
that looks so bad.
It's a bad fake beard. It genuinely is. But again, with Torben, again, with a Padawan being impatient, that makes sense. Although to me, it felt like his entire personality was just centered on him wanting to go home, and that was where it ended. So just very much a two-dimensional character in that aspect. As far as one thing that really confused me was what the heck Trinity's Jedi character did with the witches who were controlling the Wookiee. Like, they were all controlling him, and then she goes into his head, and then they just all collapse Phantom Menace style. Not really sure exactly what she did. They just kind of glossed over it really quickly, and then she's just not really bothered by it. So it makes you question if they actually died from that, or if she just put them to sleep. But the show clearly wants to think they're dead.
Thought about that myself. I need to look a little deeper into what kind of force ability that is, because it kind of reminded me of Luke force projecting himself to crate to stop the First Order from taking out the Resistance.
Okay.
In the sense that it's a force ability that I have not seen, that I need to do more research on, or if it was something deliberately created for this show.
And it's not necessarily the force ability itself that is like weird to me. It's just like, why the heck they all just dropped dead? I think
the way I had candidate was Trinity Indara severed the connection between the Coven and Kalneka. But obviously, even that had its repercussions on Kalneka, because he went off to what is it, Kofar, and just lost his fucking mind.
Yeah. And the big thing for me too is that in the first few episodes, I remember when they flashed back, it might have been episode 3, I could have swore we saw the other mother witch with the horns on her head. I forget her name. I could have swore we saw her on the ground dead with the other witches. But yet in this episode, we don't see her at all.
I thought we saw that. Yeah,
I think so.
I'd have to look.
But now it's like,
I remember seeing. I think I remember seeing her on the floor as well.
I thought all of them were there, really. But
yeah. But then in this episode, you don't really see her at all anywhere after she disappears. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe I just missed it, possibly. But other than that, again, at the end of the day, I feel like this episode was just a bit underwhelming. Like we're like, oh, what happened on Brendok? And it's like, okay, this is what happened. And I feel like they're trying to make it to where the Jedi are a little bit more, not necessarily bad, but like more menacing when they let their emotions get the best of them. I feel like they wanted to convey that more strongly than it ended up coming across. Because again, to me, with Soul, what's happening with the Witch Mother and May, like I feel like any Jedi would do that, because he's probably thinking, oh, this witch is hurting this girl. He already has those suspicions. And so he stabs her. And then one thing that did bother me, and I didn't overall hate this episode, but this one thing that really did bother me is that the witch is like doing this thing that scares the crap out of the Jedi and make them think that she's harming the child. And she tells Soul, I was going to let Osha go. I was like, why didn't you just say that? Like, just say that from the beginning. That's my main problem with that.
Here's the thing. Like, she was already going to, through her whole fucking, possession. Mm-hmm. It's really just at least to me, it felt like just like a circumstances of things getting out of hand before you can have that conversation. Like, yeah, it's really easy to say, why didn't you just say that? Yeah, I can agree to that, but at the same time, it's like they were in the moment and shit was literally happening. So I can see why Soul was so quick to just be like, nope, and fucking stabs her, and that's that. And then she ultimately reveals like the truth of like, oh, I was going to let Osho join you. Now he's got blood on his hands. He has to live with that. And that is, it kind of, that's why where he is where he's at now. He's got fucking blood on his hands. It's kind of his fault. He's ultimately also kind of the reason why his Padawans and everyone else died on Kofar too. So that's just more shit on his plate that he now has to come to terms with.
Sure. And I could see that weighing on him. I know. I guess it might have just been my expectation of, the way they built it up and made me seem like, he must have done something even more sinister than that. And so, like, compared to my expectation, it was a little underwhelming.
Thinking about it, I get you, I hear you, but at the same time, it's like he literally killed his Padawan's mother and didn't tell her about it.
Fair.
Like, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
I think ultimately the goal of this show is to showcase that, the Jedi are not as squeaky clean as they've been made to be in other iterations of Star Wars, but also that the Sith aren't exactly just straight up evil either. Like, they have their reasons why they choose to do what they do. I think ultimately, like, the show is, at least as far as the Acolyte's concerned, it's showcasing like a morally gray area there where both sides don't necessarily tend to operate, but can operate in.
It's making the ideas of good and bad and which side is which more ambiguous.
Correct.
Compared to older interpretations, which, correct. I mean, if you approach in certain ways, that can be interesting. If you don't approach the right way, it can just be like, eh.
Sure.
Now, my main thing is that you got one episode left in this season, and you've answered the question, what happened on Brendock? And it was like, okay, well, that's what happened. So now my curiosity is that, are we just going to spend the entirety or the majority of episode 8 with Quimir figuring out what his deal is, figure out who his master is? And since the reveal of what happened on Brendock wasn't necessarily very overwhelming or was underwhelming to me, is the same thing going to happen with what we figure out about Quimir and his master? Is it going to be like actually something that's, more interesting to me than what happened on Brendock? Again, we'll have to see. But again, there were some things about the episode where I was like, okay, I can understand this here and there, and then some writing decisions where I'm like, I don't know. I feel like that could have been done better, but again, I don't feel like it was the worst episode, but I'm also just kind of like, that happened,
Sure. Yeah.
That's where I'm at with this episode.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can understand that.
You two down there, you've been awfully quiet.
Well, yeah, we're gonna let you guys, talk about.
No, interrupt me all the
everything
time.
you like. I interjected some stuff in there. I thought was funny.
Yeah, but I guess based on what the episode provided for you guys, or some thoughts that came to your mind.
I mean, I know for myself, I thought again this episode didn't do it for me. It didn't save the show for me. I thought it kind of made a lot of things worse. A lot of bad writing. A lot of things like, like Torben, right? He goes through all this, comes back, he goes into his exile mode where he's just floating there for 16 years. And he really didn't do anything. I mean, I know he went back because he wanted to go home, which was, again, a weak plot point. It was like, oh, so you did this because you just wanted to go home, even though they just told you, don't bring the kids back to Coruscant, just come home.
Yeah.
But, but I think they were going to stay there a little bit longer to do more research. And instead, he went and did that. It'd be one thing if Trinity told them, we're not going to, which she did. She said, hey, we're not going to bring them and we're not going to, go back to Coruscant right now. We got to do a few more things. And then that night he snuck off to go do this. And then that's when they figured out, where is he? Oh my God, I think he's doing this. So he was being mischievous. Instead, he just kind of, he was like, oh, there's a convergence. And then he got on his bike and he just rode off. And I was like, whoa, what are you doing, dude? And then not only that, but they get there and Saul is the one who goes after him. And when Saul gets there, I mean, you're talking about, they're like, oh, the door won't open. Oh, I know a way. Follow me. He's going to scale the entire fucking mountain of climbing up there. He did it the first time. And I was kind of like, dude, you telling me now he's a fucking mountain climber? He went all the way up top of that mountain? Whatever.
I mean, he is fine. A Jedi. They do possess a bit more strength.
Right. I was like, okay, whatever.
Okay.
But then they get up there. It would have made more sense if Torben stabbed the demon black lady, like that would have made more sense. Because then if May came over and started crying, calling for her mother, mommy, then that would have been a traumatic event that he couldn't handle. Like, oh my God, I just killed this little girl's mother, and I didn't have all the facts. I didn't know what was going on. I was fearful. I should have been better than that. I should have been more disciplined than that. Instead, Saul does it, which I'm like, Saul just does it because he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, he stabs her. I don't even know what she was doing because she was turning into black smoke, and so was May. So I was like, well, what were they doing?
Yeah, wonder if she was just transporting her and herself, which makes the most sense to me.
But we don't know. I mean, they may explain it in the next episode.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what they were doing. I was like, what's happening?
Yeah,
here?
I mean, if she wasn't a solid, how did the lightsaber get her?
Well, I mean,
She was smoke.
Her
basically.
essence was still there, I would imagine.
It was like, I'll get you here. You know, I don't know. It was weird.
But and then on top of that, it's like here comes what was his name? The Wookiee Jedi.
Cal Naka.
Cal Naka.
Wookiee Jedi.
Cal Naka shows up, and he's fucking possessed by the lady who's the same race as Darth Maul, who comes from Dathomir.
Yeah.
Where the Night Sisters originate from. So I could see like, okay, there's some connection there.
Well,
I get it.
They even name dropped the Night Sisters of Dathomir.
Right.
Yeah.
Jordan says that, right?
Yeah. They literally
named them because he was like, they're not the Night Sisters. You know, he says that they're not that, but obviously, you know, she's of that race. You know, she shows up and she turns into black smoke, and then she ends up infecting. I forgot his name again.
Jedi Timberlake.
No,
oh no, you're talking about Crunchaka.
No, Count Chocula. The Wookiee's mind. He goes and attacks them, and then after he's freed of his being under the spell of the witch, and not only one witch, but like it was all of the witches that were like, oh,
they were all like swaying with each other, and then all of a sudden they just all went to sleep. I was like,
well, but at the same time, it was like, okay, so Trinity shows up, she jumps on top of him, is able to take down a full-grown Jedi Master Wookiee who's stronger than all of them, who can probably rip their arms off, and she puts her hand there, and then just like in the Matrix, she pulls out the Neuralink, and they all just die. Ooh. It was kind of like, and again, like when they all died, I felt like it was bad writing. I was like, wait, what? They just died? What are you gonna? So I'm assuming they're gonna explain that next episode, but I haven't been convinced that this show has good enough writing to get the payoff. So I'm like, okay, so I don't really know how they died, but even when she did it, like Trinity was kind of like, oh shit, like, oh, I think I just killed a lot of them. It was weird. And so a lot of the story, it just it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like I get like Osha wants to be a Jedi, but it's like you were raised there, those are your parents, that's your sister, but yet you want to flip-flop and just go away with these guys. And there's a lot of that going on with these characters later on. Like May's like, in the previous episode, May's like, I'm going to turn myself into the Jedi. Only thing that matters now is my sister. And the Jedi are fucking getting their ass kicked. And she comes out, and the first Jedi she runs into, she's like, oh, Jackie, I'm going to fight you. It's kind of like, well, wait a minute. Shouldn't you have been like, no, I'm not a threat. I'm here to help you. I'm turning myself in.
Here, what?
And she, yeah.
Cut my hair.
Hey,
that's one part in the show that's definitely the part that's made the least sense, is that flip-flop a character. And like other things like with the Night Sisters and with May and Osha, my hope is that with episode 8 they at least find a way to wrap things up in a little bow as far as the story.
They're not going to. I can almost guarantee you that this show will end on a cliffhanger, because Leslie Headland has already made comments about wanting a season 2. And I can almost guarantee you there's no way they're going to wrap up this story in one episode.
They can't.
And it's probably only going to be like 35 minutes.
20, 25
quite
minutes.
the assumption.
It's quite the assumption, but nothing is proven otherwise. And so the thing is that, like, I mean, if anything, Phil, you should be excited that we're getting a season 2, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like this show is going towards a season 2. I hope
not. I don't know.
I hope they wrap things up with this season, but I don't know. I don't know if they will or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine they'll at least do they've already answered the question what happened on Brendock. And so I hope they at least answer the question of who Queen Mirror's master is. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the last shot of this season is showing us who Queen Mirror's master is, or at least giving us a tease of who they are.
I feel like the likelihood of it getting a second season are pretty high, considering it has the highest numbers behind Obi-Wan in terms of viewership.
It does have a lot of views. That's true.
It probably will. And, Disney doesn't care whether or not people love it or hate it. They're just saying, hey, thanks for watching our show. We appreciate it.
True. Yeah. They just look at the streaming numbers. So
correct.
But yeah, I don't know. I still like there's a lot of questions that haven't really been answered that I feel like they kind of tried to answer in this episode. But maybe that's just them wanting to build up to the last episode, which that's another thing that's with the show for me. That's both something that I've kind of been okay with, and also something that's kind of bugged me is the length of the episodes. For instance, there's a lot of stuff they're trying to do. There's a mystery they're trying to weave. And I feel like at the end of each episode, it's just like, that's all the information I'm getting. It's kind of like, I don't know, kind of stringing you along in that way.
Just stringing along with like very minimal breadcrumbs, and the bread is in some spaces moldy. It's not.
Again, maybe there's some reveal later on that like totally
I don't know.
Fixes things, maybe, but we'll see.
I'd be shocked. So I don't know. I mean, last week's episode was mundane. It was boring, and there was a lot of stuff that like canceled itself out as far as logic. It didn't work. This episode here, the positive things I can say about it was you got to see, the Chewbacca Jedi jumping around, doing his thing. That was cool. The Jedi Timberlake, he was deflecting laser bolts like it's nobody's fucking business. Like I was like, whoa,
Well,
that was pretty
cool.
Arrows. I was like, wow,
Yeah, the arrows.
yeah.
I did like that choreography. That was pretty.
I mean,
sweet.
it was very akin to what they normally do. You just you twirl it in the front and then you twirl it in the back. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Hayden does it all the time, but he did it, and it was shot really nice. The Night Sisters all falling asleep at the same time. That was weird and dumb. The him jumping on the speeder bike, after they knew that they weren't going. The Jedi fucking council said, no, we're not taking the girls. We're fucking going to Coruscant. You're going to go back. You might have to do some extra shit, but it was like, wait, you're going back to Coruscant. Just fucking give it a day. And then, I like Andre's thing about him sneaking off. That would have been better. And then the sort of realizing, waking up and all that kind of shit.
They didn't do what I wanted them to do. Right.
Okay. And, I mean, it was a good idea. I didn't have that idea. Andre had it. But, they all each didn't do anything in this thing to deserve or to go into fucking exile. None of them did anything except for fucking Soul. And that motherfucker stayed with the Jedi. He's still in the fucking. He's still doing his shit. He killed the girl's mom. Fucking May's right there, and she saw that shit happen. Not once did she fucking tell Osha. Not once, and in all these fucking episodes has Soul said anything to Osha about it. He's like, oh, there's something I have to tell you about what I did. Back
they have
then.
strung along him telling her what
what's
he did.
This shiny light over here? Let's investigate that. I'll get back to that story that's really going to impact you. I'll get back to that later. Let's check this out.
Yeah, they teased it like 4 or 5 times. They did it like twice, and maybe it's like but
it's to the point where it's like, dude, either fucking put up or shut up. Yeah, I mean seeing this episode here was just a replay of the other episode. What, episode 3?
Yeah,
it was using a lot of the same shots, a lot of the same fucking instances.
Just
it was kind of like
it
was trying to pull the whole Back to the Future Part 2, like I'm seeing it from this angle or whatever, which is cool in theory, and it was neat to see in certain situations, but it took a lot of the runtime, which is what you were saying earlier, Dawson, about they don't really give you too much in each episode, and this just gave you the same of what you got, just a little bit extra because you saw it from a different point of view or a different perspective. And yeah, man, what else? I mean, for me, I think this was one of the better episodes of the season.
Really?
I think it was, because it gave you the other episode, and that you saw already, and then it gave you a cool lightsaber fight with May didn't fucking tell her sister at all. She fucking witnessed her mom right there. Like she never told her anything. Like, and then she's, I don't know. It's just.
Well, they had it to where she worded to her saying mom's dead. And so it's like they made it to where it was ambiguous coming from her. Like, well, did you do it, May? Like, who did it?
Right. But what I'm saying is not just as children, but also as what are they, 17 now or 18 or some bullshit like that? You know, older. Never once in any of their interactions, like, why are you still following this dude? He fucking killed mom. Nothing. Dumb.
Yeah, it's all like
they hadn't seen each other
poor
because she thought her
logic.
sister was dead. So I don't know where she could have said
She
that.
could have said,
I think it's
I
mentioning-
can probably piece together a lot of different situations where they saw each other. And even the last one when she was like fucking hugging her, you know, she could have said, hey man, you know, I don't know if you know this, but the guy that you're following killed mom.
Yeah, she did do the whole like you're brainwashed. They didn't tell you
All that
everything. It's like
shit,
we'll just
man.
say
If she would have said
wanted
that,
to manipulate her mom or her sister or whatever, dude, that's the perfect fucking bait.
well,
That's the
here's
perfect fucking use.
Here's the thing: is that if she would have said
Stupid
that
writing.
in that episode, if she would have said, like you can't go with them. No, you know, you got to come with me. No, like
Bam.
Saul or that Jedi you're with,
Yep.
he killed our mother. That would have been
Yeah.
more of like a wait, what?
Yeah, like that's such a betrayal to the
But that would
family
have been
or to
more
the-
intriguing. Like,
Yeah.
wait, what? He killed? What? Saul
What do
did?
you mean you
What are you
killed
talking
my
about?
mother? What? I don't believe you. You're lying. You know, some shit like that would have been. You know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It just the writing in this show, which has been seen by a lot of people, and a lot of people share the sentiment, is that it's not very strong. It's very weak writing, and you know they got more money than the people that got for fucking Dune 2, and this is what we get. You know, $180 million, and this is what we get. Dune 2 was what, 160?
190.
Oh, 190. Okay. Oh, well, okay. Just
a little under.
10.
But I think that the Acolyte got 180 million. It wasn't per episode, was it? No, it can't be.
No.
No. What was
No. It was for the season. It was
just for the season. Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know. Like you said, I think a lot of the narrative things just aren't quite like. There's some nuggets there where it's like, okay, that could be interesting, but it's like I think the execution of some of the things is just where
I think it was better on paper. I think they had,
Okay.
and the whole thing about like, oh no, they're not actually twins. It's the same person split in two. And so I'm like, okay, so what are we gonna do? So when one goes to starts pretending to be light side, the other one starts pretending to be dark side, and
what's this?
they flip
So
flop.
you said earlier, you
They're
were
all
like, I
asleep.
thought she was there laying with them. You know, the lady with the spikes.
Is she not?
I don't know. I mean,
hard-
I
Kind
think
of hard to
when
tell from that
Yeah.
angle.
Yeah, I think when I first saw it, I assumed that like you know the two moms were laying there side by side. But then again, it was a quick
It
shot.
would have
from
had
a
to been
distance.
the panning shot. If it was any shot where you saw her, it would have had
Yeah.
been the one where like what was her name? Osha, where she's like sort of
Osha.
there looking Osha, where she's over there looking at all the ladies and just kind of like, oh shit, you know, and there was a pan, and I think, you know, and you saw the one mom, maybe you saw the other one. I don't remember. I'd have to watch it again, but
I think the main positive from this episode for me was Carrie Ann Moss's performance as Zendara. It was nice seeing her get to do more. I do feel like this was Lee Jung Jae's Soul's weakest episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
I felt like his line delivery wasn't quite there for me compared to the other episodes.
I think their motives were very selfish, you know, for, you know, him and Timberlake and, you know, as far, and all, you know, Kalnaka or whatever did, he fucking hot wired a door. Why couldn't they use the Force? Didn't, you know, and then they're coming into the Coven, right? And it's like, who the fuck invited you? You know, like nobody asked them why they were there. Nobody asked them, how the fuck did you get in here? Who invited you? Anything like that'd be the first thing if somebody came in.
Well, they did tell them they were trespassing.
Yes, and that was
Yeah,
that
they,
was a good.
they
line.
did say you're trespassing. But
That's true.
I just think look, I just think overall, I think the story, the writing, you know, are just not very strong. And I think similar to what Phil was saying about what were we just talking about Gladiator 2, I think we were talking about.
Yeah.
Like all I just want is a really good story, and that's all I want when it comes to like, you know, this show. And I just feel like the writing and the storytelling and a lot of elements are just not working, and I don't see how to me, this isn't a show that I watch and go, yeah, I love it. This is great. I look at it and see flaws left and right, and I can't. It's hard for me to enjoy that because they're constantly making story mistakes, and the writing is bad, and then the motives of the characters don't really coincide with what they're supposed to even be doing, and to say, okay, so this is why Torben has put himself in exile. I didn't like,
and
after it was
then
over,
committed suicide.
Yeah,
What?
like 16
I would
years
understand
later.
Soul more than him.
And I didn't quite get why he felt that compelled to be like, okay, in 16 years or 14 years, I'm gonna end up just killing myself, but I'm gonna put myself in exile.
And what
Or
the
while
fuck did Cal Naka need to fucking exile himself for?
He got
'Cause
possessed.
He got
He
possessed. It wasn't his fault. The only thing he did was hotwire a door.
Yeah. And I think the main thing for me, just to kind of wrap this up, because we're already about a half hour over, is that there are some things introduced here and there where I'm like, okay, that's interesting. It's connecting the pieces. I think that's been the thing for me where it's like, okay, well, that's not quite connecting the way that I think could work best. Or, yeah, just connecting all the different elements that they introduce that could be interesting. And then there's writing things where it's like, okay, well, that kind of undoes the intrigue of that. But again, I'll reiterate that I hope with episode 8 that they have some things going writing wise that make some things make more sense. Maybe connect things a little bit more. At this point, like, they would have to have their best writing ever to like really make it to where it's like, oh wow, that changes everything for me. Because right now I'm like, with this show, it's not necessarily one that I'm going to revisit. It's not one that I like hate either. But again, this next episode I feel like maybe has a lot writing on it for a lot of people. I know there are a lot of people that are enjoying it. There are a lot of people that aren't enjoying it. And so, will the final episode deliver a winning blow for Disney Star Wars and the Acolyte? I don't know. I'd like to see that happen, just to make it go on a high note for all the stuff that I feel like has been problems with it. But I don't know. Again, the word that I'd use for this episode was a bit underwhelming. But
yeah,
again, we'll see if they can wrap it up in a nice little bow before this season ends.
The payoff of what they did to me was underwhelming. If it was a case where Torben's, stabbed the mother, and then Cal Naka came in not knowing what was going on and started wailing and killing a bunch of the witches, and then realized like, oh shit, I should not have done that. Things that are irredeemable. But I felt like what happened to them in the episode, those weren't like necessarily the most irredeemable things. Soul did the most irredeemable thing by just stabbing her when, instead of trying to assess what's actually going to happen, she hadn't harmed. He saw that May was starting to kind of like break apart, and then he stabbed her. Right.
That to me makes that action a little less irredeemable. Like, it's still like, yeah, he killed her mom. Like, that's
even Carrie-Anne Moss, like what she did, how all those witches just like died. To me, like, even that wasn't really that irredeemable, because it was kind of like, you didn't mean to do that, and even when you did that, you were like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like, what? Oh, like, oh, I think they're dead. You know what I mean? Like, she kind of had that look on her face. So
check their pulse,
and so all of this should have been, as soon as it was done, they report back to the Jedi Academy, or the Council. And so it just, I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of the show. I'm not. And I love Star Wars. And that's the thing, is that, like, if it's Star Wars, I'm going to watch it. And, for anyone who says, oh, you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. Well, no, I'm a Star Wars fan. I've been a Star Wars fan for freaking, 38 years of my life. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to watch it. And, if I don't agree with it, I don't agree with it. If I like it, yeah, I'm going to like it. And there's been plenty of things so far, even with Disney Star Wars, that I haven't really agreed with. There's plenty of things that they've done that I've totally agreed with. I've been like, yeah, I like that. Like Ahsoka, not everyone liked that show. I loved it. I thought it was great. I
liked it, yeah.
Or like Andor, it got like, I think it has the lowest view count of all the shows, but I thought that was great. I loved it. So it is what it is.
At the end of the day, we got one more episode of The Acolyte for the season 1, or I guess supposed season 1 of multiple seasons if they end up doing it, to see where they go with it. And so we'll cover that next week. We're already about 37 minutes over what we usually do, but we had a lot of topics to cover today.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
A lot of fun stuff going on with comic stuff, Gladiator 2 to look forward to. And of course, next week with an episode of The Acolyte. So are there any
Axel. I watched Axel Foley. I watched that. That was
stuff
pretty
to watch
cool.
That.
Was that?
Yeah. Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
So
heard about
they
that.
did that. It it wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it was cool. I
When
like
you say Axel, everyone thinks you're talking about Axel Drogo.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
curious,
yeah.
like,
Oh, Axel. Yeah, I know.
Shh, the Wookiee Jedi is asleep. He was too
Wookiee
tired to eat his
Jedi.
meal.
But
But,
before
yeah, that
we
was cool.
before we go, anyone have any final thoughts over everything we talked about here today? Anything you got going on this weekend that's gonna be fun, or before next week?
I am currently finishing my review of the Acolyte episode 7. I just wrote the last sentence for it, so I'm about
Nice.
ready to hit it over to my editor. Probably gonna watch The Boys, House of the Dragon this weekend. Try and form some semblance of a Comic-Con schedule. Yeah, that's pretty much it, mostly.
Nice. And yeah, be sure to go check out Phil's reviews on Multiverse of Color. As he said, he'll have his editor do the stuff for the Acolyte review he's doing. How about Andre, Ryan? What do you guys got going on? Any final words for us?
I'm going to a Giants game tomorrow that I wasn't planning on, but I got invited to, so I'm going to go do that.
Nice.
I'm pretty tired, and so I mean, really internally, I kind of feel like this. Oh, just tired. But
I was like, pretty
yeah.
good.
Other than that, no, I'm just hanging out, man. Just hanging out.
Nice.
I'm gonna try to do a couple streams this weekend because I'm off, so should be fun.
Nice.
Cool.
And Ryan?
Also, check out the newest episode of Beyond the Unknown. Got that up over the weekend. It was really good. It was really good. You gotta check it out.
I'm sorry, what the fuck?
You can find it on Spotify, or if you just go to Nickatina.net, you'll find all my shit there.
You know what you should do, Andre, is with
should I
that
do?
channel, since you cover a lot of like theories and cryptids and stuff, you should look into if cryptids. You never heard that term? Like Sasquatch, Chupacabra.
yeah,
that's what
I
those
those
are.
it was a growl, but it was actually
Yeah.
No, so
that's
what
a
you should do
cryptid.
is, if you haven't watched it already, you should look up the Y-Files channel and see if you can talk to the guy who runs
Oh
that.
god, that guy! I'll try. We got one more.
Oh, this is for
no!
you guys.
I didn't see the episode yet. I'm gonna watch it tonight. I know Phil watched it and he said it was really good.
Yep.
Phil, do you have something real quick you want to say, like in a small sentence?
Watch House of the Dragon.
Boom!
Or read my review of episode 4. It's on Multiverse Color.
Boom! There we go. That's even
There
better.
you go. And speaking of booms, thank you for your support, Dorian. Connor, we appreciate. I don't know why I keep calling him Dorian, but Connor Dorian. But yeah, no, you should try to get AJ from the Y-Files on your show. That'd be, yeah, he's awesome. I listen to a lot of his shows.
Yeah, I've listened to a ton of them. So
Yeah.
I actually tried to do a video off of one of the stories that he talked about, and I never finished it because it's such a long story that I was like, forget it.
If I may ask, which topic was it?
It was Project Zerpo.
Ah, yep.
I tried to do a video about that, and it was such
That's
a
a
long
fun one.
story
That's
that
a fun one.
I had to kind of give it up. I was like, oh, forget it. I'm done.
Yeah, no, I've listened to that one several times. It's a really fun
Yeah.
story. But as far as fun things for me this weekend, I'm going to be doing Capital City Comic Con in Lansing, Michigan. So I'll be there for the 3-day event. I'll have all my art prints, original art, cover sketches. I'll be doing commissions the entire weekend. Hope to see I will see some friends out there in Michigan, in the Lansing and Detroit area. So should be a fun time. And Ryan, I think, what do you got going on this week? Got anything fun going on?
Just for me, I'm still coloring my comic. I've got like 5 pages left, so and then I'm flatting it right now. Then I can actually start coloring and adding, adding the effects and all that kind of stuff. So I'm at this pace. I want to say next month I'll be in better shape. I'll pretty much be done. I'll get my Kickstarter going, and
Nice.
yeah. So yeah, I gotta get that train going. We're gonna make a couple trailers for it, and then start promoting it. So there's a lot of stuff I have to do.
A lot
Yeah.
of shits.
A lot of shits.
Yeah, I'm with you there because I'm working on this book, and essentially what we're doing is we're doing 5 full pages and then paying for that and everything. So I have to pencil. I'm doing traditional pencils for it, then digital inks, digital colors. I'll do the 5 pages at a time, send it over, pay for it.
Yeah, when you're coloring, and this is for the just your regular sides. You don't flat. You just color like right on whatever you inked, right?
Well, what I do is I go in and I do the flat versions of the base colors.
Right. That's
part. Yeah. And then I'll go in with the shading afterwards. So I lay down all that, then do all the detailed stuff, extra effects. So that's been really fun because especially with some scenes of like destruction where there's like a lot of war going on, adding a lot of smoke and like sparks flying off everywhere, kind of adding a nice little depth to it is really fun. But yeah, I'm doing the entire thing, and I'm also doing the lettering for the book, which I know you're doing for yours too, since it's all your project. It's just fun, and I'm creating my own like letter boxes, and I have these different fonts I'm using, and so exploring that is really fun to do because I'm given a lot of freedom with this book. Because I was tasked with creating the character designs. I'm in charge of the layouts. Like he gives me a general idea of what the layouts are to be, but I kind of final say on it. So very, very fun. It's a lot of fun. Past 5 days, I've been just doing nothing but coloring.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to get back to penciling pages because that's by far the funnest part for me, just because it feels like when I'm working with the actual 11x17 comic board, it's like, okay, this is like actual comic work. But then when I go to an iPad and I'm doing all the digital stuff, it's like, okay, well, I'm just staring at a screen all day. And it's like,
yeah, I get that too. Cause I mean, like I'll wear those, those blue blocker glasses and shit.
Yeah.
Just because I'm just like staring at this thing all day. Like on the weekends, like when I wake up to when I go to bed, I'm doing that.
Yeah, I need to go back because I have these like blue light protector glasses that are bigger. They look like the typical like massive nerd glasses. Yeah, so I need to get back to wearing those because at the end of the day, when I'm working on that, luckily I finished really early today with this batch. But yeah, my eyes at the end of the day, I'm just like I can't sleep because I have a freaking headache from this dang screen.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's exciting. I'll actually have samples of those penciled pages with me at Capital City Comic Con this weekend, so people will be able to see some of the sequentials that I'm doing and get to see the vibe of the book, which is fun. Really, really fun time.
Dude, I can't take you seriously in that hat.
It wasn't me.
No, it's me because you're the only one wearing a hat.
yeah. At least it's not a flat bill like you guys, I'm sure, absolutely love. I have a lot of those, but
oh, those are great.
Yeah. Anyway, so with that, we appreciate everybody tuning in with us. I think up to one point we had about over 60 people tuning in via the different.
Yeah, no, we definitely appreciate it, and thank you for hitting us up in the chat as well. Yeah, because it's always fun to read your comments as we're doing the show because we like hearing feedback.
Yeah, and whether you're watching on Ryan's channel, Andre's channel, Phil's channel, or the 4Nerds Network channel on my Twitch or X or whatever. We appreciate you stopping by, like Ryan said, contributing to the conversation, and we look forward to talking to you guys next week. Peace.
Later.